Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Marquee. We are the Cinefanatics. My name's Robert Adams.
I'm Chris Adams.
This is the Infinity Gauntlet over here that is not making any noise. It is time for the finale of our MCU rankings. Joining us tonight, we have special guest, Mr. Vernon Greene. How are you doing tonight, sir?
Good. How are you doing this evening?
I am trying to keep these emotions and everything up at the top of the show to really drive home how good this show is going to be or how chaotic it might be. Yeah.
Nice little behind the scenes there.
Yeah. And we are also joined for the first time, Mr. Amarú Moses. Thank you for being here, sir. Mr. Inner Geekdom player of the Movie Trivia Schmodown. Welcome to the channel.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited. Vernon looks like Adam Collins when he dances, which is not necessarily a bad thing. And I am very excited. I am all marveled up, as you can see. And anytime I can talk some shit about one of my favorite franchises ever, I'm ready to do it.
Oh,
I should have asked beforehand. Can I curse? Probably.
Sure.
Well, then,
it's okay.
Cool. Then.
We don't give a shit anymore. So
fuck it.
Well, shit.
Not all at once, guys. We don't have to go like over the top, okay?
Oh, I'm sorry.
My bad.
Could have brought Jader on for that if we wanted to. Anyways, so yeah, again, this is the Marquee. This is the finale of our MCU ranking. If you're not familiar with what we're doing here or why you might not see some of your beloved MCU movies, here's what happened. We did 2 previous episodes of the Marquee earlier this month where we ranked all the movies from 2008 through 2017, and then we tier ranked all the movies from 2018 to today, including the Disney Plus shows. The winners of the S, A, and B tier of both of those rankings are now combined into this ranking, and we're going to re-rank them all, which means that a movie that probably got like A, B, maybe even S could potentially find its way into an F tier tonight.
It's going to.
So that's why we got 2 new people, 2 new fresh eyes on this. So that is what we are doing here. So yes, if you're wondering, hey, why don't I see the Eternals? The Eternals should be S tier. No, it shouldn't, because we put it in F last time. Also, because it was an F, it's not a part of the tier ranking this time. So that's why you're not seeing those. If you're curious as to how these movies got where they're at, go watch the previous 2 Marquees. So that's where we're at right now. I have a feeling I might have to explain this a couple of times throughout the stream, maybe, but I'm okay to do that. Anyways, before we get on to the Marquee, you got to do the YouTube things. Y'all have any questions, comments, issues, complaints, stuff that you don't want to hold on to and wait for Twitter tomorrow? Streamlabs.com/cinefanatics. That's a good way to get our attention. For example, Mr. Garth McMurray has already made use and demonstrated how Streamlabs works, putting in a Streamlabs saying, I know y'all are honest and wouldn't stoop to taking bribes to influence your voting decisions on what movies should go in what tiers. This amount is just a friendly donation and not an attempt to make sure Captain America the Winter Soldier goes in S tier. Thank you, Garth, who was a part of our stream, the very first one, actually. So he got to put Captain America in all the Captain Americas where he wanted, pretty much. So that is how that works. Also, patreon.com/cinefanatics. If you have the means, if you desire, help us out. Patreon.com/cinefanatics. Hop on the tier that's good for you in your pocketbook. Speaking of pocketbooks, let's hear what Johnny has to say about the rules for tonight, because we got a lot of stuff we got to get through. How's the rules, Johnny?
Well, you cauliflower-looking shit stain. The rules tonight are easy, as opposed to the rest of the rules. As it turns out, you have a limit of 4 films in the S and A tiers, limit of 3 films for all the others. And in case anyone is curious, yes, you might be wondering where your favorite film is. It's not making it to this list. It's a best of the best ranking, which means if your Marvel movie isn't here, it sucks.
Thanks, Johnny.
I don't know how that was rehearsed.
They didn't suck. They just didn't make it to the best of the best.
Johnny's a little mean lately. Like,
God, are things good at home, Johnny? Oh, okay.
Anyways, so that's the rules for tonight. Of course, after we are done with all the ranking, we will go through the ranks, everything one last time to see if there's any final positions we want to move them in. Screenshot will be taken of our of the finale or the results, and I'll have those up on the Twitter tomorrow for everyone to deliberate and tell us how stupid and weird we are. So that will be the fun for tomorrow.
And you know they will.
And they're going to, because that's just the way this works. So that's fun for tomorrow. Let's get into the fun for tonight. Let's bring out Carl and have Carl get us started with the marquee. Carl, hit it.
I like Carl better than Johnny.
Yeah, I realize Carl takes too long to do that, and that like everything that we need to do while Carl's up on the screen is done like in 2 seconds. So Carl's really good at his job, but could be a little more efficient next time. Anyways, here's the marquee board. So again, if y'all aren't familiar with how tier ranking goes, we're going to go through each one of these movies one at a time and each give our thoughts, feelings, opinions, and where we want to rank it. I'm going to take an average of all of our ranks, and we'll decide where it's going to go based off of there. For example, kicking us off tonight, as soon as I figure out what screen I'm on, will be Mr. Vernon Greene, and we are going to be starting with 2008's Iron Man. Take it away, sir. Your thoughts, feelings, opinions, and where you would rank it.
Well, I wonder why you chose me first for Iron Man. Well, this is why.
You're at the bottom of this.
We are going to get started with a great film here, Iron Man. Everyone loves Iron Man. Great film. An S-tier film in its own ranking, I do believe. However, up against some of the competitors that you have tonight, I am going to have to put Iron Man, as good as a movie it is, as an A-tier film. I mean, you can't say really anything bad about the movie. Great casting, even though some cast choices did not come back. But, yeah, Iron Man, good film. Not going to say anything bad about it. Not going to argue with it where it was before. But tonight, it is an A-tier film.
Cool. Amarú.
First and foremost, I'd like to just say big props to y'all for anybody who has any complaints. Go ahead and pay them first to let them know about the complaints with the Streamlab. It's beautiful things, fellas. Beautiful. Secondly, with Iron Man is one of the few films in just history sometimes that's so specific. It's a comic book movie, but it still holds. It holds 14 years later, and the third act is still fairly a third act Marvel film. However, it was the first one, so it's kind of allowed to do so. And outside of the Ironmonger, Obadiah Stane's one of the best villains. Underrated, one of the best villains. I think Iron Man is definitely top tier MCU movie still. But I'm going to agree with Vernon. Going up against some of these films that we already have, it is going in the A tier for me.
Okay. Chris.
This is going to be real easy because we've covered some of these movies already in our last ranking. What's not going to be easy is the fact that I talked up a big game on this movie, and I believe I fought for S tier on it before. Tonight, there's a lot of movies that have happened since the 2008 to 2017 run that are just a lot higher for me. And I'm going to play the first, oh my God, really card and say it's going in C tier for me compared to everything else that has come since.
Hey,
it's the best of the best ranking. It's still great. It's still higher than...
Can only go up from here, y'all.
That is the hard thing about this.
Yeah. So, yeah, kind of like what everyone was saying, which is a phrase that we say a lot here on the Marquee. What everyone said before, I agree with. This is, except for Chris, this is like the first MCU movie. This is the one to kick it off. Kind of what I said before. I think originally I had this like in a high A when looking at everything else we were ranking at that time. This one, same thing. I still would rank this a high A. But yeah, that's where I think it's going to go, in my opinion. But because of the C, that actually may drop it down to either the bottom of A or the top of B. Thanks, you party pooper.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Again, some of these movies we're going to cover, some of these movies and shows we're going to cover, if I put them lower than an A tier, where they're kind of at, I'm going to get it crapped on there. So which one half does or the other at this point?
You will be hearing from PJ tomorrow. I'm almost guaranteed.
Actually, I think PJ had Iron Man lower. He was saying that Iron Man should go lower than it was. So,
what did we say? We said Johnny said 4 for S and A.
Yep.
I'm going to put it at the bottom of A for right now.
Don't make him repeat himself.
Yeah, I don't want to. He's kind of a rude bastard. So that is
grade A film.
Yeah, that's where we'll put Iron Man for right now. We'll see how it moves with everything else. So next one, going to Amarú. And here's where Garth gets giddy in the chat because we're going to go with Captain America, the First Avenger. Amarú, where would you like to place this?
All right, so here's where my math teacher skills come in. And I have to figure out whether or not there are a certain number of movies and TV shows that would go this number higher than Captain America: The First Avenger. For me, Captain America: The First Avenger is one of the most underrated films in the entirety of the MCU. Every time I go back to it, there is one part of the film that I want to skip, and only one, and that is the montage. I don't like the montage. It's not necessarily I don't like it, but it's just like, all right, let's get through it. Everything else works for me. Red Skull could be a little bit more. You can see a little bit more from him, but it's Hugo Weaving. Hugo Weaving doesn't miss. Even if you're giving him very little to do, he kills it in the very little that he does. The relationship with Cap and Bucky, Chris Evans being able to change from basically a comedic actor to what he's doing here. Haley Atwell is amazing. Tommy Lee Jones is a crockety old son of a bitch, which he does best. I love the Howling Commandos. So for me, I don't believe, again, mask it forth. I don't believe there are 11 better entries on this list than the First Avenger. I might have to get slip it if I thinking about a couple other ones, but for me, this is B tier. This is a B tier film.
Yeah, Chris.
Again, this is going to be the same kind of boat that I was in with Iron Man, where I love this movie. I rank it high in its own ranking in the first one that we did, but it's stacked up against other Captain America films. I was just going to outright say it's stacked up against the other Captain America films here, and which I think it wasn't in the first ranking, but that's neither here nor there. And it's stacked up against movies that have come since.
More there than here.
True. This one, I love it. Again, I love it. Haley Atwell would raise this to an S tier for me, just naturally by herself. But sorry, what?
All right, moving on to my opinion.
Yeah. It is bottom of C tier for me, though. In the same tier with Iron Man for me.
All right.
It's still good, though. I still love it.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Hate me.
That's the thing, going into this, again, these are the best of the best. I really like Captain America, the First Avenger. I think they did a period piece while already establishing the MCU how it is. I think it works fantastic with it. So I absolutely love this movie. But again, given everything else that's in this, I'm going to agree with Amarú. This is a B. So, Vernon.
Well, it's going to be pretty simple. Chris hit it right on the head. If you compare it to other Captain America movies, there are other Captain America movies that deserve higher spots. Amarú hit it on the head with there are spots in the movie that just take me out of the movie, the montage scene. And honestly, Hugo Weaving, nice. The cartoonish behavior on screen of Red Skull, not so nice, for my opinion. I gave Captain America it was in B tier for me. Low B tier, actually.
Okay.
I can sense that there will be a lot of movement going on throughout these next couple of hours. Just looking at this list. There's going to be a whole bunch of it.
I didn't know if you were talking about the movement of the movies on the tier ranking or the movement of us having to shuffle around uncomfortable in our seats. Really?
Both, because I'm already just looking at what I just said about the first Avenger. I'm like, shh, is it gonna stay there? I don't know.
It might be going down, not up.
Yeah, so we've got. This is probably going to hover around the end of B, which is only going to have 3. So that's probably going to be somewhere around there. Yeah. Anyways, Chris, moving on to you. And let's go with the Avengers.
Yes. Now we're into some good stuff here. 3 movies in. This is one of my favorites of the MCU. Now, granted, I understand over the test of time and the argument made for Captain America that there are other Avengers movies that are actually, in terms of scale and what they've accomplished, better than this Avengers movie. But there's still, my arguments in the first round hold true here again. There's still a great impact that this movie made, in my opinion, for cinema as a whole, to be able to take this many characters from their own individual franchises and successfully put them together in one major team up movie, and it actually be really freaking good and a lot of fun. This movie has a lot of weight behind it, and I have a hard time putting it any lower than S tier when stacked up, even against movies that have come since that have maybe improved in terms of different aspects of filmmaking. There's still so much weight behind this. It's got to stay in S tier for me.
Yeah, I mean, I will agree that this is what this movie meant at the time it came out. Granted, the grandiose grandeur of this movie has been surpassed by other MCU movies. The whole idea that this was bringing these characters together as a team for the first time, absolutely amazing. But I mean, it has been beaten by Infinity War, Endgame, other movies.
Not Ultron.
Not necessarily. Well, yeah, by then we're like, okay, yeah, I expect all these people to team up. So,
yeah.
That being said, because of the simple fact that it was the first one to do it, I will still put this in S tier. It's still a fun movie to watch. I enjoy the hell out of this.
Real quick, we make all this talk about it. I can't wait till we get to do the rankings someday with Secret Wars.
Oh yeah, yeah, because that's gonna be even bigger. So, S tier, Vernon.
Well, I'm gonna have the unpopular opinion then. Avengers, great movie.
Simple.
Can't say anything bad about it. Again, kind of like I was talking about Iron Man. But I look at my list of what I have in S tier, and while yes, this movie was very impactful to the universe as far as bringing new characters in, bringing old characters back, honestly, I'm going to go with A tier with this movie. Yeah, that's what I got to say about that.
My favorite thing is Vernon's coming here going, man, I'm going to have such an unpopular opinion here. Just one tier below what you guys said.
Yeah. Well, that's the problem. You know, it's a good movie. I can't say one bad thing about it, but I can say more good stuff about other movies and series than Avengers.
Yeah.
All right. And Amaru.
I don't understand how people, or the opinion that the Avengers hasn't aged well. It makes zero sense to me. Like
Joss Whedon.
I don't. The man. No. The man hasn't aged well. His work is still great. I'm sorry. His work is still great. However, there are a few shots I'm like, did you really have to do that shot? But he knew how to put together a pretty damn good movie. And this is a damn good movie that hits just as hard as it did when it first came out. But the number of S tier slots we have also puts it on A tier for me. And for me, it's dead in the middle for A tier. So I have Avengers there. It has an A for a reason, so let's give it to it.
All right. So that's 2 A's, 2 S's. That is really tiny.
Not D. Math doesn't check out there.
I know. I'm just using it to measure. So it's either, as of right now, with that average, it's either at the end of S or at the very beginning of A.
I'm
Here's
good
the
for
thing.
throwing it in S because I'm easily going to be able to kick it out of S.
There is a movie that I have at the top of A that if it has to replace Avengers in that spot right there, I'm okay with it. So it can go either way for me.
I know for me, it's getting kicked that ass. For sure, getting kicked that ass. It would be A for me.
Let's go with the top of A for right now.
Yeah, throw it in the top of A.
Just also because it would be fun as people click on this video to watch. You're like, what the hell's going on here?
Garth in the chat.
It's going to be hard, but I mean, again, you have to understand the premise that they're all great movies, but sometimes there's just better movies than what we have in the ranking.
Using the D to measure. I see what you did there.
Yes. Salute you.
Anyways, moving on. I believe the next one is going to go to me, which hopefully Garth is paying attention still. Captain America: The Winter Soldier. This movie's a lot of fun.
Dang, we're on this one already.
Yeah, we're gonna get through these years quick. So Captain America: The Winter Soldier, a lot of fun movie. I like how the first one was a period piece, and then the second one is this whole like political espionage movie, and it's really good. While it still it caters to like the heart of Captain America, it's fantastic in like how it tells its story while still keeping the focus on Captain America, which I don't feel the same necessarily about Civil War. That and how this movie completely like changed the entire MCU at the time, even reaching down to the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show. Like this movie was the finale for the first season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which was like mind blowing. The fact that they cross story like that, how words. You
love it so much you can't talk.
This is S. This is an S tier for me. I really like this movie. So, Vernon.
So out of the Captain America movies, this would be my highest tiered Captain America movie that there is. Now, this movie, music, story, shocking storyline, puzzle pieces that you got to put in place, all works for me. It started getting into the nitty gritty side of the Marvel movies. And honestly, it is an S tier for me. While it won't be the highest S tier, it is in an S tier for me.
Ooh, Amaru.
All right, good. I don't have to argue too much. I just have one thing to say. Captain America: The Winter Soldier is the greatest comic book film of all time. Point blank, period.
All right,
S
so
tier.
let's go in S. All right, Chris.
Homer's like F tier.
that would have been a weird, like, I didn't see that coming. And that was Age of Ultron. But
Flip the script on you. No. So this is the movie that I had at the very top of A tier. I didn't realize we were going to get to it so quick. At the very top of A tier that would switch with Avengers if it needed to. I'm fine with it throwing it at the bottom of S tier where I had Avengers. So those two can flip flop for me. Throw it in S tier. It did something with comic book movies that comic book movies hadn't done before, which is start playing with new genres, including political thrillers, which is really cool. It was a really cool
Robert
thing.
effing Redford.
oh yeah.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Wait,
The fact that we got
where's the
Robert
meme?
Redford in a comic book movie.
Do you want my resignation? I've got a pen.
Yeah.
Everybody do the meme.
I think there's still people out there that haven't realized that that's Robert Redford. Because it doesn't look like him at all.
Not at all. Not whatsoever.
Yeah. No. Anyways, so next one, and we're gonna go to Vernon for Guardians of the Galaxy.
The Guardians of the Galaxy. So, first of all, great concept. You know, this is kind of the left field film that he's like, who the hell are the Guardians of the Galaxy? If you're somebody like me who is not big into Marvel, not big into comics, I was like, who the hell are these people? I at least know the other people. Soundtrack, very attractive soundtrack. I mean, it's one of the only vinyls that I think I own as far as comic book movies go. I actually have Guardians at an A tier film. It was very hard for me because Guardians, I don't see any flaws in it. However, again, it does fall short to some of the other films there. But it opened up another, you say Avengers opened up a lot of elements as far as putting people together. This kind of set in place the Infinity Stones. So it introduced the Infinity Stones, I believe, for the first time. And as a whole, maybe, I guess.
As a whole, yeah, it did.
As a whole, the Infinity Gauntlet, I guess you could say.
The ultimate concept of them, yeah.
Yeah. I know they were introduced in other films, but this is where it actually got all put together.
It was the first movie that showed the stone itself.
Right.
Thor Dark World is the first time they actually said the words Infinity Stones.
Right. So, yeah, great cast. Surprising cast at that, but great cast. I give it A tier. Strong A tier.
All right. Amaru?
I'm in the same boat. It is slowly over time crept up in my rankings of the MCU and in my favorite movies of all time. I will say the only reason it's S tier is a really subjective one, and it's the comedy. Comedy is very subjective, and I think everything here to me is funny, but sometimes some jokes won't hit, and then other times they'll hit again, but then it'll be like, all right, gets a little old. And it's the only thing that really brings it down for me. Everything else, the way they mix the comedy with the drama, the team dynamics, Groot and Rocket's voice work are amazing. I'd say like the gambling scene on Nowhere between Rocket and Drax before Rocket gets angry is a scene where I'm like, is a part of a scene where I'm like, all right, let's get past this. Then when Rocky gets angry and shows the emotion, it comes back. So it's those little parts where that comedy might not hit you at all times, which really kills Volume 2, which brings Volume 2 so far down. For me, just the little hints of it every once in a while is what takes it from S to A to me.
All right, so you still have it in S?
A.
Okay. Chris?
So Guardians of the Galaxy wasn't one of the strong contenders for me last time. I don't even think I even had it in S through B tier when I initially ranked it before. So it's not going to end up high here for me either. Again, I like it. I love the team dynamic. This movie also, outside of the narrative of the film and the film itself, still holds a special place in my heart, considering I saw it at the Chinese Theater on Hollywood Boulevard, and it was the first time I've ever been to that theater. It was just a unique experience when it came out. So this movie does hold a special place in my heart for that reason. But as the movie itself stacked up to everything else on this list, it does not sit that high for me on this best of the best list. I put it at the top of D tier for me. D as in dog.
Whew. Just registered in my head what you just said. Wow. I thought you were going like C or something, maybe. Shit.
Garth makes a good point in the chat. Kind of like what we stepped upon. Yeah, there were the other stones in the movies, but not as a whole as well.
Yeah, we didn't know they were stones until later.
Or didn't understand. They didn't introduce the concept of them yet.
Take somebody who has not seen or not have all this knowledge. That's what I was trying to bring up the point.
Yeah. Guardians of the Galaxy, again, I think I may have ranked this as an S just because the concept of all these characters who generally nobody knew who they were, and this is one of the best Marvel movies that Marvel's put out ever. I still love this movie. In fact, I think I just watched it like a couple of weeks ago, and I want to watch it again now. Come to think of it, yeah, this is. So I may have had an S before, but with this ranking tonight, I'm saying A.
Yeah. And one other point I'd like to put in there as far as personal experience. I believe this film was one that introduced people that did not have to be comic book fans, that weren't comic book fans, into a fun, slow introduction into what a comic book movie could be. I know it's the film that introduced my mother-in-law to the Marvel Universe, and she loves it. So people that have no interest in comic book movies can sit back and enjoy this one.
Again, it's a movie that proves the concept of the MCU, which is they're able to dive deeper into their character pool and do some really unique things. Instead of just playing with the characters that everybody knows, they can introduce characters that nobody knew, that was kind of outlandish, kind of crazy, and everybody loved it.
Right.
You know, it showed that the MCU's got some staying power behind it because they can do whatever the hell they want and get away with it at this point.
Okay, so this one we got 3 A's and a D. So comparing to Iron Man that had 3 A's and a C, I put this at the top of B, just so it's a little bit lower than Iron Man. Okay, so
you're welcome, everybody.
Way to go, Captain Buzzkill. So moving on to Amaru, you've got Ant-Man.
Oh man.
I know we all want to talk about an S tier movie.
I love Paul Rudd. I love that man with all my heart. I Love You, Man is one of my favorite comedies of all time. Luis needs to narrate. He should have rated Thor: Love and Thunder. He should have done that. Just because I can get my. There's only one F tier MCU movie for me in all of them, in all properties, and that's Thor: Love and Thunder. But unfortunately, that's not here today. Unfortunately, Ant-Man, something has to go there. I love you. Love you, Scott Lang. I love you, Luis, but you're an F tier movie in this
Wow
ranking of movies that we have. You are on the bottom of this list, and it hurts my heart. There are other things that are going to hurt more. So, but you're the last one, dude. This is kind of an easy, unfortunate, easy last one here.
Did you say S as in salsa?
No, I said F as in bleep out whatever word you might want to go for.
Four.
Fucking shit! You're putting this in
Yes. F. F. Yes.
All right, Chris.
F for fun. It's for fun. It's for fun.
Yeah. Chris, you have a chance to redeem yourself here and let Amaru take the new low place. What are your thoughts on Ant-Man?
What do you mean redeem myself? I'm sitting right in the same pool Amaru's dipping in here.
I mean, you could have. You had an opportunity there.
No, look at this list. First of all, I'm surprised Ant-Man moved onto this list. I love it. It's a great movie. Again, like Amaru said, I love Paul Rudd. I love Luis. I love the comedy in this movie. It's great. They did a really good job making the lighthearted, fun stuff because the character of Ant-Man's kind of a crazy out there character to make an entire movie out of, and they pulled it off. But on this list, yeah, it's at the bottom of F for me. The best of the best, it's the worst of the best.
All right, Vernon. I'm a fan of you, Vernon. Give me a fan's view of a good opinion of this movie.
Ant-Man, fun movie. Doesn't have to be a Marvel movie to be a fun movie. Really, Ant-Man as a whole, as a contribution. Yeah, we need elements from it to play out certain things later. And no, F it stays. I'm not going to argue that. I had it as D or F, but I'm going to go ahead and go with F.
Did I do this backwards?
Yes.
I should have gone before Vernon. Okay. Well, not that I was trying to hold anything back here. I said D. I'm like, out of all that drama, I'm just one tier above.
Yeah.
So this is gonna go F for right now.
God, what are you putting in F tier if you're putting this in D?
I mean, it's a fun film.
Chris, those are questions that you ask after I've had a couple of drinks.
No, I didn't ask where you. Never mind.
Oh wait, F, not D.
Yeah.
Michael
Love you,
Douglas
Scott.
also looks like my dad in this film. So
Your 1D is killing this for me. This is at the bottom of the F tier. We're gonna have to move some stuff around.
I have a feeling there's going to be some other stuff that's going to be lower than Ant-Man still.
Hell no. Nothing else on this list is lower.
We'll see.
I don't think
This will
so.
be interesting. Real quick, so clarification also on this. Once we are done with this ranking tonight, this is going to be a living ranking for us. So like in another year, we're going to come back and revisit the MCU with all the new movies and Disney Plus shows that have come out, and we will rank them into this ranking as well and see who still stays. So we will be revisiting this later with fresh eyes at that time as well. So yeah, this is going to be interesting where everything winds up, because we got to hold on to this for as long as our channel is still active. So
Forever and ever.
that wasn't an invitation for someone to see if they can get us shut down.
Depends on what some of our opinions are tonight.
Yeah. So moving on to Chris,
Me.
and you're going to do Civil War.
Ooh. All right. This is another great Captain America movie. Obviously, again, I find it better than the first one. I know a lot of people paint this as Avengers 2.5. I understand it. I get it. It does feel like that. It also still feels like a Captain America movie to me, which is a great, interesting balance that they were able to do with this. I really enjoyed it. It's not better than Winter Soldier for me, so it's not going to go into the S tier, but I do have it in the A tier. It's a solid movie where they once again prove that they're able to do a lot with their characters, their myriad of characters that they have at the disposal, while also introducing two new characters, or multiple characters, I guess, but two specific new characters in Spider-Man and Black Panther to the whole MCU. They just did a really good job with it, and I think it's one of those movies that proves also that they can make a comic book movie that has something to say as well, because there's a lot of like interesting conversation that this movie leads, like the whole Team Cap, Team Iron Man thing. Where do you lie? You know, that whole aspect was just fascinating with the concept of how it worked and everything. So I think they did just a really good job with this movie. It's A tier for me. Yeah.
All right. I think the Team Cap, Team Iron Man gave me reminders of Team Edward and Team Jacob.
Hey,
That's your fault. I don't know why you went there.
That's their fault for
Twilight
doing
is a great film.
Twilight is a hilarious time. Great film, far from. And I've read
almost
the
took
books
Brennan off screen.
twice each.
I would do a cheap plug right now, but I'm not going to.
I
But
almost
yes,
took
it.
Twilight's
Yeah,
great.
Vernon made us watch it on a fan's view, and
I love the movie. I can't help it. It's a good
I
movie.
watched it voluntarily at least 7 times. Still not a good film.
Also, can I say this movie's high on my list too, because I still think Zemo is one of the best villains in the MCU.
yeah. That won't be useful when he appears later on again. Yeah. So in my opinion of this, I love Civil War. I thought like trying to figure out how they would do the adaptation of its story from the comics into the movies without like a lot of characters introduced in the movies yet. I feel like they still managed to pull it off and really get to like the heart of the comic book storyline. That being said, yeah, this again with this particular ranking, there's a lot more I feel like better than this, even though I feel like this is a fantastic movie that I'll also want to watch as soon as we're done with this tonight as well. So for me, this is B. Vernon.
Well, thank goodness I'm not going to have the only person with daggers coming after them. Fun movie, deep movie also, because again, it does have a lot of political aspects that play into it. However, there are problems with the movie. And as this ranking that we have here, it's not an A-S tier movie for me. It is believe it or not, this is a C tier movie for me.
I'd like to hear these problems that you speak of.
I mean, so let's just look at the picture here. Let's lay it out right here. If people were trying to stop each other from doing certain things, if, let's say, Wanda, for example, needed to stop the other side, that would not be too hard. As everybody's favorite scene from the movie is the battle scene at the airport, I'm sorry, it's the most pointless scene of the whole movie because it could be ended like that.
Wanda doesn't know what
she is an all-powerful creature. She
doesn't know that. She doesn't know that at that point.
Even then, she could get everybody in a bubble and say, "Let's talk it out." It's not. There are some parts of this movie is not.
Welcome to Airport Therapy Sessions with Wanda Maximoff.
I'm sorry.
That's pretty good.
If Iron Man wanted to stop Steve Rogers from taking a jet and leaving, I'm pretty sure Jarvis is strong enough to do that. Or not Jarvis, but excuse me, it wasn't Jarvis in this.
Vision.
Vision could do it, or Tony's tech could easily stop a plane from leaving if he could shoot off an EMP. I'm sure he's got that technology. Yeah, there's problems with the major plot of the movie.
They didn't want to kill each other, and they were all pulling their punches because they didn't want to kill each other.
Well, exactly.
They're all friends.
They don't have to kill each other. They could all be contained and stopped within one scene of the movie that did not have to take place. So, with that, I'm giving it a C.
But then there's no boom, boom, pow fun.
Well, that's great. But it's, as somebody who's not a comic book person, and I see somebody like Wanda or Tony or Vision in a movie, sorry, even Black Panther, who has advanced technology to his disposal, very offset battle scene there. Sorry. I'm as a movie watcher, some of that stuff did not make sense to me.
You know what doesn't make sense is my brother describing a movie using the title of a Black Eyed Peas song.
That was not intentional. You don't have to bring them up.
But we're just getting started here. Or let's get this started. Anyways.
That reference is 2000 and late.
Yeah. My humps. Anyways, moving on. Amarú.
I'm in my element now, so here we go.
I quit. I quit.
You all are going to have me in my element now, so here we go. Jeremy Miller in the chat, he talks about suspending disbelief a little bit. There is no disbelief you have to suspend. Wanda has had her powers for a year. She does not know how to use them. She does not know the extent of them. T'Challa does not bring his entire arsenal with him at all times, except for his suit. Tony is clearly in the battle, dealing with the fact that Ant-Man just ripped a whole bunch of crap out of his suit. There are millions of things going on at one time that played out pretty well, including a giant man walking around an airport. I'm sorry. There's bigger things for me to deal with than two dudes running for a plane while I'm avoiding a hand as big as my face hitting me. The entire airport scene makes sense. There is nothing there that I can see that doesn't make sense, including the line, "You're pulling your punches, right?" So they don't want to kill each other at all. Everything is believable there. And you're not bringing every single piece of tech with you into that battle, especially when everybody else is on your level. So that's for that. And secondly, now I'm going to bring it back a little bit. I believe this is the Cap movie. Everybody says it's Avengers 2.5. Sure, but the focus is on Cap. The focus is on Bucky. The entire trilogy, it's really actually a Cap and Bucky trilogy. It's not really just a Cap trilogy. It's a Cap and Bucky trilogy, which then people have told me, wait, so then it's not really Captain America. No, it is Captain America, because Captain America is, you can't really talk about Captain America without really talking about Bucky. Not in the MCU. So this is a Captain America movie to me. This and one other movie have gone back and forth in my last spot as S. And for going with my gut, it's the top of the A tier for me. Going against another movie that I believe we're going to have some arguments about a little later as well. But again, everything makes sense. This movie hit on all levels. You went and said it's a deep movie, and then you said it's a C. It doesn't make sense. Make that make sense to me. It's top of A tier for me.
It does have good aspects as far as the political side. You know, that's the deep side of it, of what they're trying to accomplish. But
A tier, top of the A tier for me.
So, right there after Avengers. Basically how it looks like. Is this program PG? Not really, Tori. Not really.
The fuck you say?
How are you going to get fired on your day off? Anyways. So moving on to me. Can I put it on in front of a 3-year-old?
Wait. I hope you didn't already do that before.
Yeah. There might be a delay. But anyways, moving on. Going to me, I'm going to talk about Spider-Man Homecoming. Pretty much what I said before in the previous ranking. The fact that the MCU was able to pull off a very decent Spider-Man movie. I love this movie. I think it's great. All the little things that they changed, that they did. I love it. But yeah, this movie, I wouldn't say it's like the greatest, but I still think it's really good. I put this in A. Vernon, how do you feel about Spider-Man Homecoming?
Can't say really anything bad about it, but up against what we have already on the board and what I know is coming, gonna go with B tier.
All right, Amaru.
I'm already regretting one movie placement. So in order to start the process of get it moving, this is not necessarily where I think it's going to end up or where I would have it ending up. But for the sake of where something else is right now, and to get that ball rolling of having things moving around, I'm also going to put this in B tier.
Okay. Chris.
Oh man, I guess I'm like the hardest on some of these tonight, I guess. But I love the new Spider-Man movies. I do. I think they're great. Again, like this is, I think they're doing a great job with all of them. And this another movie that introduced one of the best villains in the MCU that we've gotten. Hopefully he comes back to the MCU and doesn't stay wherever the hell he's floating around right now. Freaking Morbius. So this movie though is at the bottom of D tier compared to everything else on the list for me. So it's pretty far low compared to some of these other really good movies that are on this best of the best ranking. Again, I keep saying it's best of the best to remind everybody that I like this movie. I really do.
I'm closer to your ranking than when I actually put mine. But again, I need to move things. Things need to go. I'll just be honest. First Avenger should not be as high as it already is right now. And that is my fault to start that off.
So we got A, B, B, and a D. So I'm thinking probably be in a B.
That's a B rating.
Bottom of B.
I instantly regret saying what I just said.
So that would be probably bottom of B. So does this mean we're making First Avenger go up or down?
I would say it needs to go down.
Needs to go down.
Because it was low B for me.
I can't take your word on this, Amaru. You're purposely trying to move it.
Yeah, I'd say it goes down since I put it in C tier to begin with.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a low B.
You don't realize like where everything actually needs to go until everything is up there. So yeah, that needs to go down.
That's exactly what I did earlier. Is I was trying to figure out where exactly I would want to place all these. I actually have on this exact setup. I actually have over here off to the side me ranking all these that I had to visually see the marquee board and where everything landed. I was like, yep, I'm okay with this. So, all right. So that's where Captain America will go. Spider-Man. All right. So moving on. So that was Spider-Man Homecoming. So next one is going to go to Vernon. And that is Thor Ragnarok.
Thor Ragnarok. Fun film. Again, the comedy's good, but you do have, some family drama in there. Visually, one of the most stunning movies, I think, in the entire MCU lineup. Hulk stuff could bring it down for me, but one hell of a villain, not to make a pun there. I'm going to go low B, just because, again, I know what's ahead of it, and I can't support it above other ones. Soundtrack, also amazing, but I'm going to give it a B tier.
All right. Amarú?
I'm also going to give it a B tier. Both this and Homecoming came out at the same year, and I always kind of put them together in terms of ranking, because that was one of the first years I really started thinking about like top 10 movies of all time, and they were always next to each other, and I never remember which one is ahead of the other. And I think for me, the thing that always in the end puts Homecoming slightly above Ragnarok is Vulture and Michael Keaton. And the consistency of when I actually think about it, how good he is in this and how consistently good that movie is. And again, the comedy of Ragnarok is actually consistently pretty damn great. But it can just chip at you a little bit. But I love everything about this movie. I love absolutely everything about this movie. It's definitely in my top 10 of MCU films, period. So I'm also going to say low B.
Okay. Chris.
Yeah. As I said before, this movie has aged better for me than upon my initial watch of it. I actually really do enjoy Thor Ragnarok. It's fun to go back to and revisit a lot. There's still aspects of the movie that I'm not a fan of. And sometimes, while I love Taika Waititi as a person, as an actor, as a director, I think he's got a great voice, a great vision. And I love him being able to play around with the Marvel Universe. Some of his jokes that he does in these movies doesn't always land with me. Again, like I mentioned before, the rock, paper, scissors joke, that flies right over my head. That doesn't make any sense to me. I get it. We're in a crazy universe with crazy things, but how Korg knows about rock, paper, scissors just does not make any sense to me. It kind of really brings me out of it still. That being said, I do love the movie, but it is in the C tier for me.
Chris, were you talking? I didn't hear anything you said because I was busy singing the lyrics to Immigrant Song now that Garth has nicely put the lyrics in the chat. Because I do have to agree with what... Yeah. There's a copyright strike right there. So I will agree with William Harold here. Not necessarily the S tier, but this is an awesome Led Zeppelin music video. Just saying.
It's true. Absolutely. It's true.
Not on topic at all, but if you happen to scroll through Twitter and see Eddie Munson playing Master of Puppets behind Metallica.
Oh,
fucking
yes.
Awesome. Fucking awesome.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Awesome.
Yeah. The fact that he got to meet Metallica, so for me, that's S tier, by the way. Just that whole thing that he got to meet Metallica, S tier. This movie, for me, I will have to agree. I would say this is a C tier for me as well. I love this movie. I really love this movie. This is probably one of the ones that I probably find myself rewatching the most, but it's because I like this because of all the pretty colors and the things flying through the air and the humor.
That's patently false. I know that there's at least 2 movies you watch more often than this one.
Okay, sure. But yeah, I really love this movie. But yeah, compared to everything else on here, I would say this is a C tier. So
now we're in a bit of a pickle.
Yeah. So we've got This is going to be either bottom of B or top of C. It could be either one. So do we have a decision? We have to decide, does this go under Spider-Man? Well, I mean, it would be under Spider-Man and above Captain America either way, but...
I say low. I have it at low B.
I also have it at low B.
It's so backwards for me because I have it right above Captain America in the C tier, but Spider-Man Homecoming was under both of them, so I'm going to go with right above Captain America in C tier.
I would say let's do that for right now.
So we're basically right exactly where we started off before this conversation.
It's nice that you talk things through and you come to a general consensus. We all agree on something. You can't say that.
That's all,
I can't say that word.
Consensus?
Yeah, that one, yes.
Consensual?
I can say that word. I make sure I'm able to say that word.
I need you to sing a song from Mary Poppins for me.
The constable's responsible. Now, how's that sound?
That's not what I was saying.
The supercalifragilistic.
Got it. Nailed it. We got there. Yeah.
That one I have no problem with because I watched that movie over and over again as a kid. So
you sure you have no problem with it?
I generally don't have a problem with it. Now you put a camera on me and put me on the spot, you fucker. Anyways, so next one, we're going to go to Amarú. Tell us about the much beloved movie Black Panther.
Ooh.
And you are live on the internet. Everyone can see your opinion in your face right now. So,
and we just had a trailer for Wakanda Forever, so go for it.
Which is by far probably the best experience I've ever had watching a trailer in my life. It was so damn good. This movie is so damn good. Third act, Iron Man issues in all, which I don't see as a huge issue because it's not a huge part, especially the end after the fight and the conversation that Killmonger has with him afterwards kind of makes up for it. Bury Me in the Oceans, my answers was because they knew death was better than bondage is a line and a fucking half. This movie probably has it has the most impact on movie history. Right, a tad bit higher than Avengers, because what Avengers did for movies, Black Panther did for people of color all over, which is a damn shame. That it takes $1 billion to realize Black and Asian and Latino and non-white people can actually sell movies overseas. This movie is kind of everything, but it as a movie itself, outside of impact, it is right around for me. Right around and tied with Iron Man. And I never can, again, just like I said, Spider-Man, Homecoming, and Ragnarok are like always back and forth. Iron Man and Black Panther are literally tied for me. I cannot figure out which movie I like or enjoy better. So this is my final A tier movie. That is, if that goes in there, that's my A tier list right there.
Okay. Chris?
Yeah, this is a movie that was an easy S tier when we ranked it before last time. For the 2018 to present list, easy S tier. This is such a good movie, like even beyond just the Marvel Cinematic Universe by itself. This is easily a top tier comic book superhero film just because of what it did, what it established, the voice that it had. I think there's so much about this movie that's just so good. Given this list, though, and given that we are ranking the MCU, essentially doing our final MCU ranking here and putting it up against other movies within the MCU, comparing it to other movies of the MCU, I love this movie. I love this movie. It's so good. I still put it in the A tier as well. I'm with Amarú on that. It's honestly, as long as it's above Iron Man at this point, it can almost go anywhere in that A tier. I would probably even still put it above Civil War myself, but it can even go top of A tier as far as I care. It's got to be somewhere in the top 2 tiers though.
Yeah. So granted, yes, I'm going to piggyback on all that. This is a very important MCU movie. I will call out also the fact that this is the only MCU movie, and someone in the chat, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe this is the only based off a comic book superhero movie that's ever been nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars. I can't remember, like the only other one I could think of, maybe Superman the movie with Christopher Reeve. I can't remember if it was nominated, but
I don't believe so. I think this is the only comic book movie nominated for Best Picture ever.
And it's also, I believe, the first one that actually did win any Academy Awards, because it won for Best Costume Design, Best Original Score, and Best Production Design. So,
Dark Knight got.
Dark Knight got something. I think Spider-Man 2 also won visual effects.
Was Dark Knight nominated for picture though?
He not for Best Picture, but Heath
Ledger for actor. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, this is an extremely important movie for the MCU, for superheroes, for minorities. Like, this is huge. I am going to follow the trend that we have here. This is A tier for me. So, Vernon.
Well, I'm sorry to be the one that's going to go against
take him off screen.
Said as far as the tier.
No, you can't start this with "I'm sorry," but
no. So hear me out.
You should have just rolled with it and then like F. Like
Black Panther, and anybody that knows me can attest to this. I saw this movie in California during the week of the first live Schmodown. This movie, the reason why it is up for so many awards, it's not a fact that it is a comic book movie winning awards. It is a movie up for awards. This, to me, this is one of the best movies, in my opinion, that I've ever seen. Not only because of comic book processes, but politically, one of the best movies I've ever seen, because I would say this movie needs to be shown to kids in schools in the perfect family versus state type film. It needs to be shown as far as how other cultures handle progression, politics. I mean, music, beautiful film. Not graphics, but the visual effects, beautiful. Acting, beautiful. Not a thing wrong with this movie. This is an S tier for me, and to me, it is in my top 5 movies of all time.
Good Lord,
you're
Vernon.
a jerk for starting off with this with "I'm sorry."
I need a cigarette after that one, and I
can't say enough about this movie. Being somebody that has Asian heritage in my background, very strong. Again, people of color or people of a different ethnicity other than white. Very important film all the way around. It's an S tier for me.
I can't argue that. That's fine with me.
It's not a great Marvel movie. It is a great movie. Period.
I do like that you said that they need to show it in schools. Vernon, they're throwing out books right now. They're never going to show this movie.
Teacher here, I've shown it plenty of times.
Hey,
where's the math in this movie? Is there math in this?
Yeah.
I'm a special education teacher. Math is one thing I teach.
Oh, okay. I saw someone was talking about that, like, you're a math teacher, so I thought that was the main focus.
I primarily teach math, but I also go into other subjects as well. So
in this situation, you find a way to make it work.
Yeah,
yes.
I could sit down and watch this movie any day of the week.
Whew, Vernon, that heart attack though. Oof.
And I would damn near put it above one of the other. I would put it above against one of the other ones we're going with here in just a few moments.
Yeah. Speaking of which, Chris, good luck.
Oh yeah.
Infinity War, go.
S tier.
Okay.
Just throw an S.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think we did pretty well, the two of us, waxing positive about both Infinity War and Endgame last time around. If the Avengers is a landmark in terms of being able to bring multiple franchises together, it walked so that this movie could run, and obviously Endgame as well. This is cinematic history right here. Again, like everything I say for Infinity War is gonna hold true for Endgame as well. This is cinematic history right here to be able to pull together this many franchises, this many characters, give them all enough time within a 2.5 to 3 hour movie, give them all enough time to shine on screen and make it work. And on top of that, essentially make your villain the main character of the movie, and this be his movie, where the superheroes are actually kind of the antagonists. This is a remarkable film that pulled off something that most movies dream about doing. It's easy S tier for me. I have a hard time thinking that this movie and Endgame, either one of them, are ever topped in the MCU ever again, even though we somehow have Secret Wars coming. And I think the more I think about it, the more I think that's going to blow everyone's mind. But hey, who knows? Right now, this is the gold standard between this and Endgame. So easy S tier.
Anybody else up for a 4-hour Secret Wars movie with an intermission? I'll do that. It's fine with me.
Yeah.
Sure.
Just to agree, this is S tier. Again, I said it last time. This is the Empire Strikes Back of the entire MCU. It is such a good movie. It ends on a down note. Even though you absolutely know they're not dumb enough to kill off all those characters. They're not going to kill off Spider-Man. Not happening. Not possible. But for some reason...
Sony tried to.
Yeah, Sony will never stop trying to. Beside the point. Good one, Vernon. Even though, like, you know that these characters are not actually going to die, that they're going to come back. We knew there was like an Infinity War Part 2. We knew this was coming. They were going to bring them all back. It still felt like there was like really good stakes in this. So
to a degree, I mean, there are some characters that we questioned whether or not they would come back. I mean, you look at your Winter Soldiers, you look at your Visions. Obviously, Vision kind of didn't come back technically. So yeah, they had some really good stakes on this.
Yeah. Vernon.
Yes, let's talk about Avengers Infinity War. So this film, one of the most memorable cinematic experiences of my life, because I can honestly say I've never walked out of a movie theater where everybody was completely silent. From the time that snap happened to the time you got in your car and you thought about it the whole way home. Not being a comic book person myself, I didn't know they were bringing everybody back. And if you want to play that concept card, technically leading into Endgame, they didn't bring back some of your heroes. They killed off Tony. They killed off Cap because technically he's gone. Vision, gone. They're killing off your first set of heroes that you've come to love over the last 10 years. The ending credit scene to this, gorgeous. Just the whole homage to all the Avengers. Actually, I think that was in
Endgame.
Endgame. I'm sorry. Endgame. Sorry. But just what I'm thinking of is the score. It didn't end in the Avengers score. It ended in Thanos' score. Mm-hmm. And like you said, your villain was the main character of the movie. Your villain ended up on top at the end of the movie, which is not heard of in film very often. Nothing bad about this film, and not too many films can top this one as far as what I felt when I went to the movie theater and watched it. Strong S for me. I would... I'd say best Marvel film there is. Even though I would argue Black Panther, but Black Panther's too low for where it's at. I would say, as what we have left, this is the best Marvel film we have left in our list.
All right. Amarú.
This kind of, you said it before, Indiana Jones, Back to the Future, Empire Strikes Back, Infinity War. These are the types of movies that show like sci-fi action. They can have as much merit as your dramas, as your crime thrillers, as your crime films. Like they can pack as much punch and deliver. It delivers on all the MCU aspects. It and more. The characters you love, but it also delivers on the humor. It also delivers on the action. It delivers on the adventure. It does what it's supposed to do at as a high level as some of the top tier drama films. And I think Infinity War. I also think Winter Soldier, but at that time I didn't think Winter Soldier had any chance. But Black Panther, Infinity War, Endgame all deserved to be Best Picture nominees at the time. Thanos he may not win it, but you can put him up and start arguing a little bit against Vader as the best villain of all time. He may not actually win that, but you have a villain now that can say, hey, what about Thanos? And you'll think about it for a bit. It's not there's no way in the world. There's let me marinate on this for a second before ultimately saying it's still Vader. Or still Hannibal Lecter or whoever you want to go with. Yes, it's an S tier. Just because it again just delivered on everything and gave you more than what you were expecting. And gave you everything that you wanted in an MCU film, and also like just the amount of tears and crying that you heard. And then when we get to Endgame, I will continue the conversation on why both just amazing films.
Jeremy Miller says it perfect in the chat.
Perfectly balanced as all things should be. Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, when people, to piggyback your favorite villain or top villain, when people are coming to the conclusion or arguing the fact that maybe Thanos had a good point in the film, that's the impact that Thanos' story arc had. He really, in the film concept, was not a villain as so much as he was trying to save humanity. And people cheered for Thanos. In his ass backwards ways of doing things, people cheered for Thanos.
When in universe, someone scratches Thanos was right onto a urinal, you know that there's something good going for that villain.
Yeah.
And he was also apparently a zaddy, so.
Zaddy.
He could throw it back with the best of them.
Yes.
All right. So the big question on this is Infinity War above Winter Soldier or below? Because I mean, we did like all 4 S's on this, so
I'm going above.
Above. Did we have 4 S's on Winter Soldier? I don't think we did.
I technically had A, but said it was okay to go in S.
Okay, so I'm going to put Winter Soldier below Infinity War.
Oh, but that's just me.
I'm going to.
That's how I felt about Black Panther. I would say Black Panther's in the totally wrong ass tier.
Ass tier? There's an
never
mind.
Ass.
I'm going to go ahead and leave that little bit of a gap there at the front of S. Just probably for a minute, because we're going to move on, and I'm going to talk about Endgame. For everything that Infinity War set up, Endgame took it, made an entire movie about it, and then after that movie was over, we still had that gigantic climatic battle with everyone from the MCU all involved in it, and they pulled it off. Every single moment of that final battle is absolutely amazing. It not just in the fan service, Cap picking up Mjolnir, Cap saying Avengers Assemble, pretty much Cap doing anything else in that movie. The song Portals is so good. I still get chills. That's again going back to what MCU movies do I rewatch over and over and over and over again. Endgame is definitely one of them, if not probably actually the top one that I watch over and over again the most. I love this movie. Just everything that they were able to pull off. This is the absolute culmination of what the MCU was trying to do. This is the closest we've gotten to comic book in an actual movie. to be able to pull all those actors, get contracts, paychecks, everything all done and completed to formulate this movie, it's going to be hard to top this, and I guarantee Secret Wars is going to. But in the meantime, this is the best of the best. This is the highest Marvel movie, period. So S tier. Vernon.
I hear you. I hear all your points. And I hear you that it is an S tier. I'm not going to argue. The movie was fantastic. The movie was amazing. But this is where I argue that it is not the top S tier movie, because you cannot have this movie as powerful as it is without its movie that it came from. So in order for Endgame to be what it is, it has to have Infinity War. So I say Infinity War is ranked above it, but definitely S tier film.
Amarú.
Definitely S tier. But I will say many times, I still believe Winter Soldier is the best comic book movie of all time. And one big reason is because it had to stand on its own and delivered what it delivered. I am also of the camp that by a very slight margin, Infinity War is a better movie. And I'm not saying, what I will say, one of the best thing Endgame does is y'all were talking about all those T-bones and ribeyes and steaks in Infinity War. The biggest worry I had of Infinity War is, like, for those of us who quote unquote knew they were going to come back, how are you going to be able to make it worth it? And when 5 years later popped up on that screen and the entirety of the theater went, oh my gosh, that's how you deliver stakes for your movie and the movie previously, that say, okay, well, it doesn't matter if they come back or now, because those 5 years happened. And that the ability to deliver on that is crazy. I would say, and I'm not saying any of this as a slight, just as to back up why I say Infinity War is also above this. And again, Winter Soldier will be above anything, but Infinity War above this is because the Endgame was a lot of moments and a lot of absolutely amazing moments that hit every single time. Some people will say it's fan service to try to bring it down. Well, it's fan service at its best. But Infinity War is just an entire movie front to back, that the entire thing is just impactful, period. While Endgame is impactful, and then fan service is great, then back to impactful, then fan service is great, then back to impactful, if that makes any sense. So I have Infinity Game over Endgame, but all 3 of the S tier movies right now are in my top 10 movies of all time. And that includes putting Endgame in it.
I hear and I understand the arguments for why people put Infinity War over Endgame, why they edge it out.
Here we go.
It's what? It's because of the stakes, the drama of it. Infinity War kind of does stand on its own. Endgame does require another movie or set of movies in order to view it in its entirety and understand it in its entirety, and get the full impact of it in its entirety. My argument is, name another franchise where a movie requires that and it pays off and it works. This movie does require a slew of other movies before it. That's what makes this movie the top of the S tier for me here, is because it takes all of that, what came before it, and it pays it off so amazingly. You don't get an experience like that with any other franchise, with any other movie at all. This movie did exactly what it was supposed to do, which was celebrate, honor, and pay respect to people who have followed the MCU from 2008 on. And I have a hard time, like, I always argue between this movie and another movie. If you watch the last ranking, you know kind of what the other movie I put at the very top usually. This movie and that other movie always go back and forth for me.
I am never hurt to put this movie at the very top of S tier. It is, right now as it stands, I believe it is the cornerstone and pillar of what the MCU is supposed to be about the entire way through, which was building out a universe full of characters that are fully fleshed out, that interact with each other, that it makes sense, even though they all have different tones, it makes sense for them to be able to interact with each other, and that they're able to put in high stakes. That 5 years later, yeah, that was huge. They're able to put in those high stakes. They're able to turn around and after all that build up, pay it off as amazingly as they did. Like, yeah, this does suffer from the Return of the King 18 endings type situation, but
which I love both, by the way. Give me more.
Yeah, but honestly, I'm cool with it. I could have watched this movie for another hour easily. This is by far the best of the MCU for me. It is my favorite, if not just literally the best cinematic theater going experience I've ever had in my entire life. Being able to sit in an audience where everybody is cheering as if we were at a freaking rock concert is I can't hold a candle. That can't hold a candle. And nothing else holds a candle to it is what I'm trying to say. Heaven forbid I bring up candles again. But this is easily the top of the MCU for me.
Okay. So first thing I would like to point out is every time we're now talking about stakes, I'm now imagining Deuce Bigelow, Mel Gigolo, where he walks into the room like, "There's been a mistake. Does somebody say steak?" Like, that's the first thing I was thinking of.
Well, now you got me all excited.
You didn't need to continue that.
Quotable movie.
So it's gonna go to S tier. Does it go to the top of S tier?
I would say no.
So you got me.
I think we're in the same place as Black Panther, where the two of you say yes and me and Vern say no. So we're in the same spot we're gonna be.
So here's the thing. Both me and Chris are thinking the top of S tier. Y'all are thinking like after Infinity War, but before Winter Soldier.
I'd have it number 3.
You have it under Winter Soldier.
So by that, it has to go after Infinity War.
Yeah.
This is like, I would rarely want to do this, but this is the one time I would want to flex. This is our channel. Put it at the top of S tier.
No.
I won't argue. I won't argue either way because I won't argue either way. But yeah, for me, Winter Soldier is always the top of the top. Is the top of the top. Infinity War is next. Endgame is next. For me.
So what's funny about this now, looking at this, and I'm not sure, I'm almost certain that's probably not going to change because we all feel pretty strongly of like those 3 movies up there as they are right now. The last ranking we did, we had Endgame was the top of S tier. Now on this ranking, it's behind Infinity War. Amaru's like, I'll sign this.
I'll take that.
Like,
I'll take that.
Can I autograph this when we're done? Yeah. So that's why like we're doing this tier ranking, breaking it up like this, because this is going to be interesting. We'll see how this plays out like later. Rachel, wait, Vernon never argues with people, does he?
I'm going to make myself feel better about this by saying Infinity War and Endgame are one long movie. So it's at the top of this tier.
Such a cheap way out.
Well, that's why we established that rule before we went on the air. That's not how it's working tonight.
I know, but it's how I'm going to sleep tonight.
That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works.
That's not how the fourth works.
Vernon, we'll start you off with Spider-Man Far From Home.
I'm going to probably ruin some things tonight.
I don't know what that means.
He's going to put it in S tier. He's been doing this all night. This is going to be low, and he puts it up.
I, for one, do not know how this is on this list compared to some movies that did not make it to this list. So with this, I have only seen this movie twice because the first time it was like a old hard piece of bread that I couldn't swallow. This movie's not good to me. Not good. It just did not keep my interest. Yeah, you talk about stakes. You want to go there? We got
Medium
out
rare,
of it.
please. That would be good.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. Sadly enough, D tier with this one.
This is why it's still.
I have no enjoyment for this film compared to some of the other. Compared to everything else on the screen, it's not there for me. Especially considering we have another Spider-Man to go. It's not up there. So,
all right. So you're saying D tier?
D tier. Of the three that we have, it's D tier. And if you look, Homecoming is in B tier, so definitely not number 2.
Far From Home is far from good.
Yeah.
Amarú.
Well, this is gonna be fun.
Best movie ever.
Far From Home is one of the films in the MCU that gets better every time I watch it. Every time I watch it, it gets better. I have a lot more appreciation, and I had appreciation in general for Jake Gyllenhaal and Mysterio the more I see it. And I enjoy this film. I like this film. However, I don't like it as much as a lot of these properties. And I apparently like it a lot more than Vernon. However, it's going in the F tier for me when it comes to this list. Which
just in logic alone.
It's weird. It's weird how I will praise this movie way more than Vernon will, but it is lower on my list. So it's an F tier for me, only based on what it's going up against. And I will say, when I first saw it, it immediately landed in and it's probably still, it's in like right below average for the MCU for me. Probably somewhere in like the 17 to 22 range. Yeah, so F tier, but above Ant-Man.
Maybe I need to watch it again. As you say, it gets better. I don't see it.
Chris, tell us why the fishbowl is so good.
This ranking is zany. This is some zany stuff right here because I'm about to talk up this movie. I did last time. I love it. I love all 3 of these Spider-Man movies. Again, spoiler if you didn't catch last time, they progressively have gotten better for me. Homecoming, Far From Home, No Way Home. I do like Far From Home more than Homecoming, so it's going to be weird that I'm actually putting it under Homecoming on this tier ranking the way we have it now. But I also did personally put Homecoming underneath it on my list, so it makes sense logically for me. I love this movie, and it's a complete bias. It's a complete bias on my front because Mysterio is my favorite Spider-Man villain. And I was waiting for them to adapt him into a movie. Again, I said it last time, I'll say it again this time. A special effects artist, granted he's not a special effects artist in the MCU, but in the comic books, Quentin Beck is a special effects artist for movies. That makes the most sense for a character, a villain, to put into a movie because you can have so much fun and do anything with that character because you're doing movie special effects for a movie special effects character. I love the concept of him. I love what he pulls off. I love the illusion side of it that Spider-Man can't. He doesn't necessarily know what's real. Even his spider sense at times is thrown off. And they did such a great job adapting him in a way that makes sense in the MCU that, you know, while he might not be the best, most fleshed out villain in the MCU, he's still a villain that had a lot of intimidation factor to him. He had a lot of, like, we keep using the word stakes. There's a lot of stakes behind it, especially what he did at the end of the movie and how it set up No Way Home. There's not a lot of, like, residual impact that some of these villains had over Mysterio. Obviously, Thanos takes the top spot there still, but for the hero specific here on Spider-Man, Mysterio had such a huge impact on him, on his story, on everything going forward for the character. All that said, this is why this ranking is zany. Because just like Amarú said he loves this movie and actually ranked it lower than Vernon, I'm saying I love this movie and I'm putting it in D tier also compared to everything else on this list.
Here I was thinking I was going to get to just set out to roast for this one. But...
Zany ass ranking we're doing here. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, because I'm going to put it in A because I love this movie. I love Mysterio, obviously. Sitting here playing with the fucking hot toys while y'all are all talking.
Yes, but I know how you're doing your ranking, and that's why it makes sense for you to still put it in A as opposed to the rest of us.
No. That thing I told you earlier, yeah, forget that. I actually did it the way that you were doing it. So
yeah.
Ignore all that.
Oh, okay. Then you're just weird.
Sure. I love this movie. So I've got it in A. It's not going to go to A. So we've got 2 D's, an F, and an A.
I feel like it's going in C.
That's going to go at the bottom of C.
And again, y'all, we can play around and shift these around at the end just to make sure we all feel pretty good about the list. I watched this movie again and again though because of Mysterio.
Mm-hmm.
I hope he comes back. Honestly, I hope he's not actually dead.
Just
He's got to be. He's got to come back.
That scene of the illusions and stuff was so awesome.
I mean, you talk about people coming. You talk about people coming back. I mean, didn't Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness basically lay out that anybody could come back?
Yeah,
essentially,
by plucking them out of their universe.
2 D's, 1 F, 1 A should be D tier.
Math-wise, yes, it actually should. A and F average to C, and another D gets it below. But
okay.
So at the end of this, Amarú, we're going to need you to do the math on everything.
Need you to check all of our math.
Check all the math.
Not a problem. Not a problem at all. I love math. So
I don't feel bad about this place.
He's like, the math checks out that Winter Soldier goes into the number 1 spot.
Yes.
Big Jake.
I put in the chat, Jake, but yes, I started that off. Yes. The beauty of Paul Rudd and his agelessness is an F on this list.
This is a best of the best ranking, Jake.
It's not an F tier movie.
It's the worst of the
F
best.
tier against these.
Hey, Jake, I wanted Ant-Man to be higher, so you like me again, right? Right? Cool. Anyways, moving on. I really don't care. Jake knows I like him. So moving on to Amarú. We're going to do now is the first Disney Plus show on this list, WandaVision.
WandaVision is an amazing show. If I remember right, had 9 episodes, right?
Yes.
It had 9 episodes. Yet somehow, maybe because the episodes were a little shorter, somehow started off the fact that the MCU hasn't figured out very often, with a couple exceptions, how to finish off their seasons. Because that season finale was fine, but it didn't live up to the rest of the season. And the shows are a little hard for me because you have to be really, really, really amazing for me to put it over some movies. But I would say this and another television show fight for the top spot in terms of MCU series for me so far. Disney Plus series. Because we're not even going to put the Netflix shows in that conversation. And really the only Netflix show that matters is Daredevil. So, though, the love for the first half of Luke Cage and the injustice for Cottonmouth, I don't know why the fuck they did that. That was so stupid. Hurts my heart. But anyway, Disney Plus shows, this and another one, fight for the top spot for me. But it's really hard for a show to go over many movies. So for me, WandaVision goes to C tier. I believe I'm gonna say C tier. Pardon me if I, in the middle of one of y'all discussions, yell and say something else, but I think I'm right.
Chris.
So coming back to the shows again, there's 3 shows on the list. There's 3 shows that Disney Plus has put out there that kind of all take the top spot. If I were to really like break down and find like some nitty gritty like details as to how to edge one over the other, I could probably do that, but for the sake of just time and just my own mental sanity, I would say there's 3 shows that all kind of take the top spot for the shows for me. This is one of them. So they all could kind of fluctuate anywhere. For me, like I get the argument that the ending, the finale didn't kind of stick it as much. It didn't stick that landing quite well. But at the same time, this show did multiple things very well. It provided excellent week-to-week discussion and mystery. There was so much about this show that they did such a good job on, like, what's happening? What's actually going on? Is Wanda really at fault for all this? Is there something else happening? Who's this person? Is this person going to show up? Is that person going to show up? And there's a lot of, like, really, like, just awesome discussion this show was able to provide week to week. On top of that, it does provide one of the best lines in the MCU, which is what was it? What is
death?
What is grief?
What is grief?
Was it
What is
grief or death?
Grief. What is grief if not love persevering? That is easily one of the best lines in the entire MCU, as spoken by one of the most eloquent characters in the entire MCU.
Who's a robot?
Who's a robot and a fictitious one at that in this show. Either way, I think the show, for what faults it does have, it is groundbreaking in terms of the fact that they are able to tell a longer form story like this in a show format with a cinematic budget, essentially, and capture our attention and hold it week to week and do such a great job digging into certain characters like Wanda here. I put it at the bottom of A tier for myself.
Okay. So yeah, kind of like what I was saying, what I said before we were ranking these. This is probably like my favorite show out of all the Disney Plus shows so far. Good use of the mystery, keeping the audience guessing. I have never hunted for Easter eggs so much while watching anything than I did while watching WandaVision. And when you found one, especially if you found one that you didn't see like all over the internet, you either made the discovery of a lifetime or you feel really foolish. Like there's a reason no one else found this. You're just like basically looking for Easter eggs in anything. And like half of them were all Mephisto, apparently.
Right.
Just keeping the audience guessing. The whole reveal of Agnes was really good. I do agree about the ending of it. Looking back in hindsight now, especially after seeing Doctor Strange mom, that this didn't really felt like it was setting up a movie rather than concluding its own self-contained story. And that's kind of weird. I get what they're doing. It makes sense as far as how the progression of the MCU needs to go. But yeah, I still think this is probably like the best show out of all of them. That being said, I am ranking this as a C on this tier rank.
So we got 2 C's and an A so far.
By the way, I said Doctor Strange mom, so
No.
there's Doctor Strange as a mom.
Burn it.
Anyways.
Why is it still on the screen?
I know. I'm sorry, Rachel. I don't have the Vision meme ready to go on this. So,
All right. So I guess it's my turn.
Vernon, yes.
So let's talk about WandaVision. WandaVision was I believe, the first MCU Disney Plus. I think y'all covered that for series. Let's talk about when WandaVision came out. WandaVision came out in the height of the pandemic. We were all stuck at home. People couldn't do anything. Far From Home was the last Marvel property to come out in 2019. So WandaVision coming in 2 years later in 2021. It had a lot of shoes to fill because we had a gap left in our hearts that we needed something filled. You talk about all these other movies winning awards. This movie won so many awards for Best Actress, Best Supporting Character. It was a powerhouse. And if you look, I would be willing to bet if you looked at Zedge or any kind of ringtone service, I'm willing to bet that, or even anything that does song downloads, Agatha All Along was probably in the top list of 2021. Okay. This movie to me did a lot of stuff when we didn't have a lot of movies or anything to watch, kept you invested. I agree with Amaru, that the ending maybe didn't stick, but it did set up a lot of other stuff for the next phase in the Marvel universe. So for this, I give this an A tier. It had a lot of stuff going on that it had to deal with and still gave us a great product. As a series, not a movie.
I would also just like to highlight Amarú Moses in the chat says Randall Park and Kat Dennings and Tiana Paris are all treasures. That is true, Amarú. Thank you. Thank you so much in the chat. Thank you.
Amarú, that person seems to have
we
good
got
points.
CACA. Y'all made me write caca.
This would make it a B tier film.
We are
B-tier.
5. We're 5 years. We're 5 years old here.
Yeah, so that would put this in the
good
B
with that.
tier. So, where in the B tier shall it go?
I would
For
say
me, go ahead, Vern.
per the math, it has to go between Guardians and between Spider-Man.
That's what I'm thinking too. 2 A's and 2 C's. That would put it like pure and simple in the middle of B tier.
8.5.
Yeah, even though I have it at C, if it was in the B tier and I had to make a decision, I'd put it over Homecoming and Under Guardians. I haven't 100% decided truthfully where these TV shows ranks amongst
The
between
movies.
TV and movies anyway. So, like if I thought about it, that could end up being an actual ranking for me. It hasn't like really figured out what goes where just yet.
This is just
To tell
your
you the
first
truth.
pass, essentially.
Yeah. I got to rewatch. And with one coming up fairly soon, I really, really need to rewatch that series.
Elizabeth Olsen proves she deserves to be in this universe.
Anyone else think it's funny that Elizabeth Olsen has, like, I guess in popularity wise, overtaken her sisters? Like, is it Elizabeth Olsen is more of a household name than Mary Kate and Ashley at this point?
To be fair, they kind of retired, so
Yeah, they kind of just up and disappeared, but it's funny.
they pursued other life interests.
They still have their fashion lines.
Hey, New York Minute, was that a Mary Kate?
Yes,
Ashley
that was
movie?
Yes, it was.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a
My-
Don't act like you didn't know that.
That's an absolute treasure. Well, honestly, I was kind of thinking that was a Hilary Duff movie for a second, so I was confused.
No, that's
My
good.
favorite one was the one with Kirstie Alley and Gutenberg.
Is that Billboard Dad? That's also
No.
a Mary Kate and Ashley movie.
No, It Takes
I
Two.
have no
It
idea.
takes two.
Oh, I do know. Never mind. I do know that one.
So
Next month's ranking for
Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen
Mary
movies.
Kate and Ashley Olsen movie.
Maybe we could get Jake Iacovetta to join us on that so he stops trolling us in the chat with our opinions on these rankings. Let's see where he ranks stuff. That's actually a funny idea. There he goes. He's got an opinion on that also already. So moving on, Chris. So before we do this one, I do want to clarify something. We were used to calling this a certain name. Apparently, people are offended by this name. They're not really offended, but it's just weird. So I've decided instead of calling it what I used to call it, I'm going to change this. It's now referred to as Fate-Wise, better known as Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I don't know what Fate Wise is, but it's better than Fat Wuss. So, movie.
Hey.
Chris, what's your
I was trying to
opinion
figure out
on
where you were going.
Fate Wise? I know. Now I got everyone in chat going, F-A-T. Okay.
So,
Jake, don't tell me with a good time.
Again, like I said last time, I actually really do enjoy the series. I think they did a lot of things really, really good with it, really well with it. Grammar. I think there's some things that really, really spoke to a lot, and I think that again had a fantastic voice behind it. However, the series as a whole, like I said last time, and I'll repeat this again, they were trying to do too much with this series when they should have just kept it simple. They should have just narrowed down to a couple things, keep the confliction with Sam as to what it means to take up the shield, the Isaiah Bradley side of it, keep that stuff in, keep with Bucky trying to deal with the trauma of his past and reconcile with all that. Maybe you leave in the Flag Smashers. So that was the name, right?
Yes.
You leave that kind of stuff in. I guess you could do the U.S. agent part of it too, but going to Madripoor, the doing stuff with Sharon Carter. There's a whole side of this. There's a bunch of stuff that they were doing here that they probably didn't need to do for this series, and it probably would have had more of an impact and probably would be a lot longer lasting in my memory about like what happened in the series and what went on if they just kind of kept it a little bit more simple. Again, I like the series. I think they did a lot of good things. I think we're going to see a lot of stuff in this series pay off with the next Captain America movie, and I think that might actually make the series age a little bit better. It did introduce us to the Zemo thing, and I love Zemo as a character. I think he's a fantastic character, one of the best villains in the MCU. But as a whole, there's just too much going on with this show that I don't think necessarily worked in its favor. And for that reason, I almost sound like one of those Shark Tank guys. For that reason, I'm out. No, for that reason, on this list, I'm putting it down in the F tier.
Ooh, good Lord, Chris.
Something's got to go in the F tier. What do you want?
Jeez.
You don't say good Lord after everything I say.
So, as I said last time, I do feel like this is kind of like a more generic action political type show. It was great as far as representation goes, as far as like the whole storyline with Isaiah Bradley was fantastic. Getting the transition from Falcon to Captain America was really good. That whole speech at the end that he does, absolutely amazing. There's a lot of good things about this. There's a lot of stuff that's wrong about this too, as well. This is also going to be my first recommendation for the F tier. So I agree with Chris.
That's it. I'm tackling you again.
Please don't. I'm wearing headphones this time. I'm physically attached to my computer.
I have dealt with enough whiplash in my life. I don't need this from you.
Vernon.
Got to piggyback what y'all said. A lot of good stuff in the show. But as somebody who wants to sit and enjoy a show, there was too much good stuff. It was all over the place. I could not keep up. And of this list that we have here, everything that's on here, I enjoy Ant-Man as a film better than I do this show as a show. So I'm going to go bottom F tier.
All right, Amarú.
I just said it. This is the show that epitomizes me needing to go back to it. However, one thing that keeps coming up, isn't this the one that really got impacted by COVID and it went from 9 episodes to 6?
Yes.
To 6.
It was also supposed to come out before WandaVision.
Yes. And I think this really would have benefited from staying 9 to 10 episodes to be able to make it feel not as disjointed. And every time I go back to it, I forget so much good in it. I forgot about Isaiah Bradley, which is crazy because that was so damn good. I forgot about the therapy sessions with Bucky. I really, I'm with y'all. This is also an F tier. They're not bottom of F tier. It's above Ant-Man for me. But the fact that I cannot remember it, and this is the show, like WandaVision, this, and Loki, truthfully, I need to go watch again. I need to re-up. But this one more specifically because I don't remember it as much as the rest of the shows. And the more I think about it, the more I'm like, wait a second, do I like this more than I think I like this? Or if I watch it again, is it still really great, but way too disjointed? And based on the fact that looking back at it with all the stuff that I love, I still can't remember it as much. I have it in F tier above Ant-Man for me.
Okay.
And actually, I probably actually don't even. Again, I might be with Vernon. It might be below Ant-Man. I'm not sure.
I'd like to point out in the chat, I know everybody's saying it might be their favorite show. Don't put it in F tier. Again, what it is going against. This is not saying this is an F tier show. It is F tier against what is on this board.
Yeah, we're not ranking this against like the Eternals or Thor Dark World here.
There's a lot more stuff out there.
Y'all keep shitting on Eternals and getting a little.
Don't besmirch. Don't besmirch the good name of Eternals.
I didn't put this on Twitter. I'll say this again. I did rewatch Eternals last night. It did fare better with me on the second watch than it did the first time around. So there's that aspect. It might not necessarily end up in F tier, but it definitely still wouldn't make it to this ranking for me. But
okay,
yeah, that's the thing to say, guys. Is that it's going in the F tier, but keep in mind this is the best of the best. Everything else that's not on this tier ranking is below the F tier on this list. So.
Yeah,
they just didn't make it to the high list.
Yeah. So, real quick, then I would say we need a recap of vote real quick. Is this above or below Ant-Man? I say below.
I say above.
Oh, I know Vernon says below, and I don't know. I'm gonna say it's, but that would just leave us right dead in the middle. Shit. Oh,
did anybody vote Ant-Man as a D tier or higher?
No,
I had Ant-Man as a D tier.
Ant-Man's F tier for
then
me.
it goes below Ant-Man.
Yeah, and I was gonna say Gut. It goes below Ant-Man.
See, I have Falcon and Winter Soldier, something else, and Ant-Man.
Yeah, but because somebody voted Ant-Man higher than F tier, it automatically goes below Ant-Man.
Yeah, that's fool.
Because we all
I knew what I was doing. I was playing the long game. I was just saying.
Fool.
I want to watch that again.
You fool.
If y'all don't understand the reference, Gilbert Gottfried on Hollywood Squares. So good. So
R.I.P. a legend. R.I.P. to that man.
All right. So, Amarú, thank you for talking about...
I forgot about that. Dang it.
Yeah. Thank you for talking about WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, and Loki, because we're going to talk about Loki next. Yay! I love Loki. Loki's one of my favorite comic book characters of all time. He was the first Hot Toys. I'm not going to go pick him up right now because I'm kind of comfy where I'm sitting right now and I don't want to get up. I'm lazy. That's fine. But I love the character Loki. I love what they did with this TV show. It was so bonkers and off the wall. I was like, I can't believe they're actually pulling Loki from another timeline now, and this is the new look. Oh, it's so weird. That being said, when compared to everything else on this list,
catchphrase of the night.
Yeah, I have Loki in the F tier.
Weirdo. You freaking weirdo.
Vernon.
What the F are you talking about?
Hey.
So, Loki, fun. Does raise a lot of questions, though, what's going to happen with the universe because of where we pull Loki out. I mean, I know they explained it in the show, but it still raises questions for me because technically our Loki is out of the timeline where he is a pivotal part after Avengers. So
got a strong case of the deadsies.
It's very confusing for me. And I know they may explain it, but I'm not a smart man. I know it's not an F tier. I love it. I mean, Loki's a fun character. One of my favorite of all the series. So I'm going to go C tier here. I can't rank it as strong as WandaVision, but I can definitely watch it anytime. So I'll give it a C.
All right. Amaru.
All right, so I just talked about how those 3 shows are the ones I remember the least. However, Loki is the one I remember the most. Out of the 3, I remember the least. Jonathan Majors alone, that finale was damn amazing. And Jonathan Majors to me probably will be in my mind as famous as Denzel once he gets to work it. Like, that man's range is so damn good. And it's the best finale of the Disney Plus shows. And it's just, the majority of it is a conversation.
Yeah.
It's a conversation. And the way the man is able to enthrall you with a conversation, yes, with some sword fighting in the middle of it, but nobody remembers the sword fighting. Everybody remembers He Who Remains. However, Loki also has the absolutely most pointless episode of anything I've ever watched on Disney Plus. Episode 3, On That Train, was the most pointless damn 30 minutes I have spent watching Disney Plus, period. I did not understand why it was necessary. I don't remember what that episode was for. I was just like, what are you all doing here? Please take that and attach it to the beginning of 4. And then it started to get me to think about episodes 1 and 2. While cool and good, not very memorable. And not much of like, you're kind of like, okay, cool, you're getting me there. But episode 3 was just, it has been lodged in my brain as the most useless thing I've watched in a long time for a long time. And that and Jonathan Majors and Richard E. Grant eventually saved the show for me. And made me enjoy the show again. But my goodness, episode 2, which was fine, episode 3, which was shit, and episode 4, which was okay, it just was it's up there with Moon Knight episodes 2 and 3 as like, oh man, this is some of the most disappointing things I've seen. So for me, Loki is in the D tier.
All right. And Chris.
Like I said before with WandaVision, there's 3 shows on this list that are interchangeable for that top spot of the shows right now. Again, if I did like some detailed nitpicking, I could probably edge one over the other. Loki's right up there with WandaVision right now for me, as well as one other show that we'll get to. Again, a lot of great mystery. Where's this going? I don't know. If WandaVision started the train of, great week to week discussion, Loki continued that train pretty well. It was a fascinating concept, and yes, it also introduced us to essentially our first iteration of Kang, who, as of this moment in time, we haven't seen more of yet, and so we haven't really seen the greater impact that character is going to make. But those people who know comic books, again, this isn't really like an argument for this show necessarily right now, but those who know comic books know he's a hell of a character to introduce, and he's going to have a huge impact on the entire multiverse saga as we've been introduced at Comic-Con, which is why I'm looking forward to returning back to these rankings later. But for now, they did a fantastic job introducing the character in Loki. And while the show has a lot of really good stuff in it that I would say edges it higher still, I think the Jonathan Majors of it all does actually firmly plant this show very high for me. Now on this list, very high means B tier. However, there's just so much going on that I just really, really enjoyed. Again, I know we went into detail before, but the emotional stuff with Loki, revisiting all the things that happened to main timeline Loki, and being able to, we get to see the impact of like what my life was kind of hit him all at once. I thought was amazing. And just again, the whole He Who Remains stuff is some of the best. It's easily some of the best stuff that they've done in the TV show so far. That being said, I would put this in S tier again if they gave Mobius a damn jet ski.
So overall, you're putting in B?
In B, yes. It should be noted again, I'll say this again, that this is the only show so far in all the shows that have been presented outside of What If, the only show so far that is guaranteeing to get a second season right now. So we'll have to revisit Loki again in the future.
So the way the math works out means it's going to be somewhere between C and D.
So we had 1B, 2 C's, and a D?
1B, 1C, 1D, 1F.
So it is...
Dead in the middle of C and D.
Right in the middle between C and D.
So it'd be above Far From Home, but after...
First Avenger.
Ooh. I mean...
Which I'd edit myself in here, but I'll wait till the end for that.
I'll put it right there for right now. We'll see where it moves because we still got a couple others.
That one, and that one. So we have like 4 left still.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is difficult because there's a couple things that can go anywhere here still.
Yeah. So I'll put it at the end of C. So anyways, so moving on to this next one. So we're gonna do something a little bit different with this one. So this would typically go to Vernon next. Vernon has not seen the next one, which is going to be Shang-Chi. So what we're going to do is Amarú, Chris, and myself will talk about Shang-Chi. While we're doing this, Chris is creating a poll in the chat. If the chat would like to weigh in on where they would like this to go as well, feel free to vote on that poll. I don't know how this poll is actually working. Chris got it all figured out real quick. So Chris is doing this while we are going to talk about it. Amarú, if you would like to start.
I love this film. I think it's one of the best films in Phase 4 so far. Simu Liu is amazing. Tony Leung as Wenwu is up there. If not top tier villain, it's right under in that next tier of villains. Just with the emotion, that opening fight scene right outside Talo, that is beautiful and makes me very excited that Destin Daniel Cretton is directing the Kang Dynasty. I'm very happy with that choice. A lot of people do not. Awkwafina. Here's where I'm going with this. Awkwafina is either I really love her, or I cannot stand the crap out of her. I have always been a little high on her. Like, I think she's cool. I'm not really for her, and I'm glad she's gone away, and I don't hold it against people. But looking back at it, the whole like really leaning into the black set and stuff when she was on Girl Code. Looking back at it, not the best decision for her, but she kind of leaned away from that kind of quickly. And like, I'm not going to hold that against her because people were doing what they needed to do. But I like where she is. I like her. I think her dynamic with Simu is great. I haven't decided where I'm at with Trevor Slattery just yet. I think it's funny. I love that he was back, but it was a little bit of a, it's dipping a little bit into the too cheesy for me, just a little, but it was enough of a, okay, it's Ben Kingsley. You know what? Sit back, have some fun. Let's do this for me to enjoy it and be cool with it. And then the transition from a martial arts film to a mysticism film. It was a weird way to make that transition work. But Trevor Slattery is your transition from straight ground level martial arts to mystic. And as much as that happened, I don't know how it works, but it works. And also, I guess the drive was also the transition to get you into there too. I say all that to say this. I love this film. I think it's really great. But I think at the moment, it's going to be middle of C tier for me. For me, it would be it would be under Ragnarok, but above First Avenger.
So yeah, there's a poll in the chat. So if y'all want to vote on that, the way the poll works is you choose either S, A, or B, or choose C and F. If C and F gets the most votes, then I guess we're doing another poll of the C through F.
Yeah, so that's basically how the poll works, guys. If you go through the poll, first of all, everybody vote. So we have one edging out over the others. Whichever one gets the most votes, obviously, is the vote that we'll cast in place of how Vernon would give his opinion. The chat gets to Vernon's leaving a spot for the voice of the people here, essentially. So
That's why we call it a fans view.
Always be plugging, Vernon.
Always be plugging.
Always be
Nailed it.
plugging. Appreciate that, sir.
But yes, right now, as it stands, we have 3 votes in there. So make sure you guys get your votes in there. We've got 8 viewers, so 3 votes from 8 viewers. You guys got to get a vote in there and let one edge out here. But if C through F take it, then we'll do a secondary poll for C, D, and F. Anyways, get your vote in. Get your vote in.
Chris,
Yeah.
how do you feel about this movie?
For me, again, last list, easy A tier. I'm pretty sure that's where I put it last time. It could argue easy S of the of Phase 4 right now for me. It's fantastic. The dynamic between him and his dad being the villain, and just that aspect is something we still really haven't seen in the MCU. Thanos aside, that doesn't count. He kidnapped his kids. It doesn't work. So Shang-Chi, I think, is easily one of the best movies of Phase 4 so far. And I think it, again, like I said last time, it's tonally one of the most consistent to the MCU as a whole movies that we've had in Phase 4. I like it, really enjoyed it. I actually am due for another rewatch here pretty soon, so I'll probably actually throw that on here pretty soon. For me, it is on this list in the B tier. I would, the WandaVision of it all kind of throws me off. I would probably put it at the top of B tier, but somewhere in B tier, I think, is where it lies for me.
Okay. So B tier. So for me, yeah. So like I said last time we did this, great story character, made the Mandarin a little more sympathetic, which is a little weird. I love Katie and Trevor. I thought both of them were good in this. The thing I really like about this movie, especially, I just watched this again the other night. That bus fight scene, just, oh my God. That bus fight scene is so good. So the thing that I like about this movie is how much I like this movie, knowing like pretty much absolutely nothing about Shang-Chi. Like I never read the comics. I didn't really know anything about the character. So I've seen him. I've seen the character, like drawings and stuff in the comics, but yeah, never really followed it. And I really liked this movie. I thought this movie did a really good job for those characters. So that being said, again, compared to everything else, I have this as a D for this. So, all right.
Got a new poll up. So C through F won the last poll. So on this one, pick C, D, or F. And whichever one gets the most votes will be the audience poll.
Apparently, I did not miss much. If
No.
that's where it's going.
You should definitely watch it.
Oh,
so.
you missed much. You definitely need to watch this film.
You missed a lot. You should still watch it.
Where was it at in the previous? Where'd it go? So in the previous tier ranking, this was in the A tier.
Okay.
Compared to what we were ranking at that time.
Yep. So I got B.
Jeremy's now feeling how it is to do the ranking of this.
So, while we wait for that, I do see Amber's in the chat saying, "Oh, it's you guys." Well,
Hey,
thanks.
nice to see you too, Amber.
She says everything is worth it for MCU. Is everything actually worth it in MCU?
I'd say, yeah, 90, 99, even with Love and Thunder, still go see it.
After having rewatched Eternals last night, yeah. That's a good movie still.
What we really need to do if we wanted to break the internet was do a tier ranking of the worst, and then we all put like Eternals and Love and Thunder, Doctor Strange Mom,
Flip
Thor
the tier
Dark
rankings.
World, all in S tier, and everyone's like, "What the hell's going on here?"
Flip the tier, make S actually the worst tier and F the best tier, and then
Yeah.
everyone would be just complete like, what?
Y'all didn't watch the show, so
You don't
F-
get it.
Yeah.
F is for fantastic. S is for sucks.
A is for
right to
ass. B is for base.
Butthole.
Basura for garbage.
Basura.
C is
Yeah.
for cool. D is for dope.
C would be for a word that Billy Butcher says a lot in the
No.
polls.
No, stop it. All right, we only have 2 votes in the poll. You guys in the poll good with just letting those 2 votes slide? Because that's the 2 votes that's going to determine here. We got to move on.
And that's the show.
Where should we at? So I know I said
We got
C.
C, B, and D. So right now we're looking at it
C.
hanging out in C.
2 C's with the audience poll. A B
Well,
and a D.
that would, yeah, that'd be a C film.
So does that mean Loki moves down, or does Thor Ragnarok move up? Well, Thor Ragnarok can't.
Or
move
does Loki just move over?
Okay.
I would
So
also
let's
say
end
Loki
the
moves over,
poll
but-
and see where it winds up at.
Ba-da-ba-da-ba.
So given again, we're doing 4-4-3-3-3-3. Loki would have to move down if that's the case.
For now.
Oh yeah, until the end when we decide that emotionally we believe that Shang-Chi should be over Loki, and then
But I'd have Shang-Chi
Or-
over.
whatever.
Did you,
Other-
Chris, close the poll?
Believe that per your numbers, then Loki moves over and Shang-Chi moves over between it and Captain America.
Yeah, I have Shang-Chi in between Thor and Captain America.
Shang-Chi.
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 Why is that? Well, that was moving weird.
It's not Shang-Chi, y'all. It's Shang-Chi.
Okay, so it's going where? It's going in C, but where in
Somewhere in the
C?
C tier.
Between America and Loki.
And Loki
I have
will
it-
drop down.
Yeah, and I have it between America and Ragnarok.
Okay.
Would
You're better at
be-
math than I, so I would say that.
Well, either way,
Well,
Loki's dropping down.
Loki's dropping. For me personally, it's above First Avenger. For me.
I would be
And I-
inclined to put myself personally. I'd be inclined to put it at the top of C at this rate, obviously because I put it in B. But that's just
What does
that's
that
me.
leave you, Robert?
I did like First Avenger a lot more.
That puts us dead in the middle. Then, because I have it in the middle. Chris has it above. Robert, you have it low, so it stays dead in the middle, in between the two of them.
So it stays between America and Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Bonesaw's not in this.
Bonesaw, he's ready.
Lovely.
I got
You
you
got chip for 3 minutes.
Playtime.
All right. So next one we're moving on to, and we're going to start with Amarú on this, and we're going back to the TV shows. We're going to do another poll on this one as well.
Yay!
So this one we're going to do is Hawkeye. Amarú, if you would like to start.
I love this show. I love the show to death. I'm even okay because I want to see what else they do with him in the Daredevil show, but I'm okay how they treated Kingpin based on the vibe of the show and the vibe of the MCU and how it's got to be different. And like, I know some people didn't like the Hawaiian shirt, but like he has that in the comics. And but I just Hawkeye is one of my favorite Avengers, y'all. Like, do not put respect on my man Hawkeye's name. People disrespect him way, way, way too much. Not an F, Rachel. Not an F. There is a but coming because I cannot remember where I put it. I keep forgetting it. It's not an F.
I put my butt in my pants.
Dude.
I can't remember whether or not it was a D or C. I believe,
I don't want to host the show anymore.
Gosh. You know what? Based on what I'm looking at now, yes, there we go. Based on what I'm looking at now, and what I'm going to try to convince people to do, I am putting this. I'm putting this at C as well. I'm going to put this at C as well. And for me, it's below Shang-Chi, above First Avenger.
Chris.
I'm gonna be Amarú's butt here.
You just met the guy. This is the first time on with him on our channel, and
it's not that big. I'm telling you, it's not that big.
the butt, or the opinion.
Both.
Again, I actually really enjoyed the show. I think they did a lot of fun things with it. I think going into it, none of us predicted Wilson Fisk was going to be a part of it. Kingpin was going to play into it. Did not see that coming at all until, they started hinting towards it. Introduction to Kate Bishop, great stuff. I can't wait to see more of Kate Bishop as a character. I think she's a lot of fun. I think she's going to carry the mantle of Hawkeye extremely well. Yelena, come on, Yelena, best character in the show. Florence Pugh killing it. I absolutely love that character. She's so cool. She's so cool. And then this show had a sweet little puppy dog in it. How can you say no?
Why is Yuri from Stranger Things in this?
Anyway, despite the fact that it had the sweet puppy dog in it and you can't say no, I'm going to. It's an F tier for me as opposed to everything else. As opposed to everything else on this tier ranking. Love the character of Hawkeye. Love it. Love a lot of aspects of this show. But again, it is not up to par with everything else that's on this list for me. If you want any more detail as to why I put in this low, Rogers the Musical. Okay.
Amber, we all have a crush on Florence Pugh. I mean, I can't wait for Don't Worry, Darling. That looks so good. Anyways, yeah, for Hawkeye, I agree. This show did some really good things. I love the introduction of Kate, Kingpin being in there. There's so much good to this. And the interactions between Kate and Yelena are some damn good TV. Just so much fun. And then, of course, shout out to Yelena's hair. So her hair is like awesome in that. Like a braided mohawk or something. It's so cool. That being said, I also have this as an F.
Damn.
Sorry, Rick.
Oh.
So, also have this as an F. Also,
and he's never coming back to the channel.
So Vernon hasn't had the opportunity to watch this fine piece of programming as well, which is why we have the chat going on. So it looks like the chat was going C through F. So quickly get your votes in. Let's see where it's going to be at.
Is that a subliminal message? Let's see where it's going.
See where it's going to be at. No, Well, I mean, if that would be Amarú doing it, not me. I'm the one saying it's F.
So he was scratching
Go.
his head with a
Let's
C
go.
shape.
But
So I'm F, you're F. Amaru, you said you were C?
I'm C, yes.
And as of right now, it looks like the chat is voting C as well.
How many votes?
We got 6 votes.
Then it's a C film. Bottom of C.
so we're counting the chat as just one.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
Yes.
the primary vote in the chat counts as just one because I don't want to do all that math.
Yeah.
and wouldn't it
So
make
it's
it
a
between?
D.
It would make it between Loki and Far From Home.
Yeah, if it sounds like it would end up being split evenly. So yeah, that would put it between Loki and Far From Home,
Interesting.
which is not where I'd put it, but
That's not where I was thinking it was going to go, but at the same time, I also did not predict that we were going to ask the chat necessarily about this, nor did I know that Amaru was such a big fan of Hawkeye. So there you go.
that's why you do these.
Put respect on my man's name, please.
But hey, again, that's why we had different individuals coming in on each one of these tier rankings, so we can get a bunch of fresh eyes all the way through.
Also, because all the people that we asked to be a part of it weren't able to do a second episode.
You
So-
know, you could throw that out there too. But,
Rachel said
let's-
all of the chat has spoken. Indeed, they have.
I mean, theoretically, yes, and literally.
All right, so for the one that this I feel like is going to be really controversial in the opinions tonight. Who's this going to? This is going to Chris to start with. This is our penultimate one, so we're almost done, y'all. Spider-Man: No Way Home. Chris, take it away.
If y'all were paying attention to the tier ranking last time, which was the 2018 to present, this is arguably for me one of my favorite MCU movies, up there with Endgame. So, if you want to know where I put this, one, you can listen to the entire diatribe that I went on last time, which was really long and lengthy and lovely, and I just oozed geek all over this movie. Leave that alone. This one is easy S tier for me. At this point, I understand that I'm probably not going to get it at the top of S tier, and I respect that. I do. I get it. I understand. I get it. But it's got to go in the S tier for me. This is by far the best Spider-Man movie I have ever seen, and that is taking into account Into the Spider-Verse, which was the #1 spot until this movie came out. It is now the #2 spot for me. But there's just so, look, and I'm gonna preemptively get ahead of some people's arguments here. Sorry.
You know what's coming.
I know what's coming. Look, fan service, I get it. I know that there's a lot of stuff with fan service and people are like, oh, fan service. This movie did it right. This movie did fan service correct for me. I understand that some people are going to think that it doesn't necessarily hold up as well over time, or that, yeah, you do have to go back and watch the Andrew Garfield movies and the Tobey Maguire movies before you watch this one. Sure. But this is, again, like Endgame, this is a situation where the movie as it stands, the fan service was necessary to the plot. And in that regard, I think the reason this movie works is because it paid off so many wonderful, wonderful things. And I think that's why, that's just why this movie is so good, is because of the payoffs for it. And because it's still also Tom Holland's Spider-Man's movie. He's still the central focus. Even with a Doctor Strange there, another hero there, even with other Spider-Man who weren't just cameos, they were actually integral to the plot. Even with all the villains who weren't just cameos, they were all integral to the plot, give or take Lizard and Sandman. As a whole, this movie was just really, really good. And it was just like so much like, if you love Spider-Man, you love this movie, because this movie was Spider-Man. It was Spider-Man. He was facing a bunch of his rogues gallery. It was Spider-Man. Give someone else their chance to talk here. I could honestly go on. It's S tier.
Yeah. So Yeah, as you're saying, there's a lot of fan service. I think the fan service is done very well. For comparison, so people understand, I guess, kind of like the comparison. Solo, Star Wars story, terrible fan service. Just,
Ooh,
yeah, not. I don't believe the fan service was done that well. Like comparing for like where not needing to know where he gets his gun at or why Chewbacca's nickname is Chewie, stuff like that. While
Star Wars ranking coming at some point
While
Make
this,
Solo 2 happen, please.
yeah,
as a TV show.
yeah, sure. While this did like a lot of fan service and nods, but it did it like a lot of it was very subtle. It was a part of the plot. The ones that really weren't a plot really weren't like that much in your face. You're like, he said, I'm something of a scientist myself. He
That's
had to
just
say
fun.
that. It's fun, yeah. That one was
fun.
like, well, there was no real origin of why he says that phrase, but it was great. There was like at least 2 times where they kind of recreated the pointing meme. Like that was fun to do, but it felt kind of natural in it. They did it like twice roughly. And then there was that cartoon one, I think, whatever. The fan service was fun. That being said, the logic of this movie, though, doesn't make any sense. Like, some of it just, sorry. Like, I understand this is a fictional universe where you got a man crawling on walls and you've got another one in a suit of iron and you've got this giant purple guy snapping away half the universe. I get it. It's not supposed to make sense. You got to suspend that disbelief. But for the characters in that fictional world to go into this scenario, I love this movie. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy watching it over and over again. But each time I watch it, I was like, I feel like this lack of logic in this is kind of, it's a little weird.
I need elaboration.
I will put this as a C.
Either of you two, because I know it's coming next. Y'all go ahead and elaborate it, because I'm not seeing the not logicalness of this. I need this explained.
Like the main purpose of the idea that he goes to Doctor Strange to wipe away everyone's memory. It seems like it's forced just to get the story to go, rather than like Doctor Strange. I believe it should this be happening in the real life. Doctor Strange, I'm watching like the numbers of people viewing us are just dropping. Him going to Doctor Strange, had this happen in real life, I don't feel like Doctor Strange would have like resorted to like, yeah, let's go ahead and do this spell and erase everyone's memory and stuff. He would be like, well, I mean, there's actually other things we could do. There might be other spells we can use. Like stuff like that. I don't feel like
that's not really the information that was presented to us in this universe. As far as we're presented, the information is that was the only spell Doctor Strange could do to make that situation work better for Peter, given the fact that he was in such a dire situation with everybody suddenly knowing his identity, and he's panicking and trying to save his friends' school careers and further life careers and all that, and trying to figure out how to save himself and his family and people he loves from the fact that everybody now knows, and they're at the risk because everybody knows who he is. What are you talking about?
Plus the doing it at the actual end where everyone does forget him, but how much, like, what do they forget? What do they remember? We don't know. And that might be something that they do bring back up later. Like, how does Happy know Aunt May if he doesn't remember that Peter was Spider-Man? How does that all happen and work out still? There's a weird leap in logic there that's just it doesn't make sense.
Spider-Man No Way Home might come up on something that we do in the future. There's a whole discussion here to be had.
Oh yeah, that would be fun. That would be a lot of fun. Anyways, see, Vernon.
Break my heart.
Vernon's like, I love this movie. S tier. Move on.
I'm never going to be welcome back on this channel again.
It's not true, but I am going to slightly dislike you more.
All right, so I'm going to start with the negative, and this is going to be a very unpopular opinion. Tom Holland, great performance in this movie. However, your argument that this was Tom Holland's Spider-Man movie, I will disagree with. Because The only, and this hurts me to say this, the only one that is Tom Holland's only Spider-Man movie is Far From Home, because Tom Holland can't make a Spider-Man movie without having other actors from other franchises boost him in his movies. First one, he has to have Tony Stark or Iron Man. Third one, he has to have Doctor Strange as well as 2 other Spider-Men. And they're villains for the most part. I don't even think there was one of his villains in this movie. So it's not his Spider-Man movie. He is technically playing into other Spider-Man movies. That being said, the movie was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I see kind of Robert's argument about the logic as far as, you know, how certain things work. Same thing on the Doctor Strange with this one. If he had the power to do that spell for Peter, why couldn't he do it for Wanda? As Wanda was needing an out. He could have technically done that in a way for her. I like the movie. In this range here, I give it a C.
I have a lot of rebuttals, but I'm going to refrain.
Yeah,
I'm all for it.
We don't have time to talk about this movie all night long. We still
I was gonna say again, you have me in my element. I'd love to debate. I'm gonna try to make this quick.
I'm all for it.
This is Tom Holland's movie. This is Tom Holland's movie. Doctor Strange is in a third of this, less than a third. They are his villains. There are all of their villains. They're his.
Not
and they
this
make
universe.
However, they aren't villains in this film except Green Goblin. Green Goblin becomes everybody's villain in this. Green Goblin takes this over because Tom Holland makes them not be villains. That's what makes it more of his movie. On top of the fact that this movie solidifies that all 3 movies was an origin story for Spider-Man. The fact that we were able to get a trilogy of an origin story where he doesn't have an antagonist except for Green Goblin, who was the antagonist of antagonists for all of them. He basically shored up that the worst antagonist, the most powerful antagonist in every universe for Spider-Man is Green Goblin. It's the Green Goblin in the Tobey Maguire's. As crappy as he was, who killed Gwen Stacy? Green Goblin. And now who killed Aunt May? Green Goblin. He's everybody's. Plain and simple. Making them not antagonists is another thing. This is all about him becoming Spider-Man. This is his movie. That everybody else is there just to help him get along there. But this is definitely the one movie I would argue, because even with Far From Home, no, I won't even do that, because Mysterio, maybe for half of the film, Mysterio is with him, where you could kind of argue it, and then he becomes the antagonist. This is the movie where it's even better because there are so many cameos, but Tom Holland Spider-Man takes front and center. Quickly, the rashness of Doctor Strange that we've already seen, and the fact that he puts in the line, "You didn't call and ask for," or whatever, is exactly how that Doctor Strange and that Spider-Man would act. Yeah, that's all I'm going to go from here because I can't remember everything else. I love this film. It does everything that Endgame does for the Spider-Man universes. It pays off 20 plus years of movie watching, and it delivers on every single aspect. I cannot think of a point in this film that is a lull. I cannot think of a point in this film that isn't great. Everything in this film hits. Absolutely everything. This is definitely a S tier for me. Bottom of S tier. It is number 4 out of the 4, but is an S tier for me.
Real quick, because I just gotta, on Amaru's point that this is the origin story. Yes, in prior iterations of Spider-Man, they've had one movie to do his origin story. The great thing about what Kevin Feige wanted to do with this Spider-Man, and he told us from the very beginning, was we were supposed to grow up with this Spider-Man, this iteration of Spider-Man, Tom Holland, like we grew up with Harry Potter amongst all his movies. So this trilogy is Spider-Man's origin story. What we get next is going to be the Spider-Man standing on his own, which is what we saw at the end of this movie when he finally made his own costume for the first time. He was standing on his own,
No one else around him to support him. He was by himself now in his own homemade costume. We are now going into the next Spider-Man movies that are going to come out. We're now going into Spider-Man as a standalone hero by himself without the help of anybody else. So yes, it makes sense to have other people come in for his origin story trilogy.
So here's where we're at. We had 2 S's and 2 C's, which would put it right between like A and B. So good news is typically what this would mean is it's probably going to kick Black Panther up to S. Which, that's okay.
I'm okay with that.
I am too. I'm afraid of how low it's still going to go.
Do you feel that Spider-Man is a better movie than Black Panther?
Yes.
Yes.
No.
I could not agree with that.
No. I believe Black Panther deserves to be an S more than No Way Home.
It's okay to be wrong.
I would say
It is, Christopher.
I would say the climactic battle of Black Panther places it just under the climactic battle that comes in No Way
What
Home.
No Way Home does for the character of Spider-Man is far greater than what the Black Panther movie did for the character of Black Panther.
Okay, so
But anyway,
yeah.
Still,
It's
yes,
going between A and B. So, I mean, essentially that means it would be between Guardians and Iron Man, but you can't position it that way. So, do we move it into A and put it under Iron Man, or do we put it at the top of B and shove everything else down?
A.
I would actually probably go. Yeah, I would probably still put it in A as far as how this ranking is going.
Because there's something else coming up that's going to shove some other stuff down.
There's one more that's probably going to, because the only gap we have left is F, and that one last one is not going to go in F at all. That's, yeah.
You never, no, it's not. It's definitely not.
Hey, you want to be that person? Be my guest. Just do it on a different channel, please.
I'm that person tonight.
Well, I mean, you haven't had the opportunity to watch it yet, so that's fine.
Which means we're doing another poll.
Yes. And again, after we're done with this next one, we'll go through and like deliberate on these. So this one's actually going to start with me. Miss Marvel was, I don't know, probably my next favorite of the Marvel TV shows. WandaVision's my favorite. And Miss Marvel is probably my next favorite. I thought they did a very good job of telling this story. I like how the show began not feeling like a Marvel, anything Marvel. It didn't feel like an MCU show, movie, anything. It was this whole, like, let's take a look at the life of this family, this culture. Let's get to understand this. And then we slowly bring them into the Marvel universe. And I love how they did it. They did change some stuff up from the comics, but I love what they ended up going with and how well this is going to fit in the future. Because you can already see like where she's going to essentially move forward with the rest of the Marvel stories. I like what they did. My only downside to it is it did get a little slow there in the middle with that time travel bit. I felt that kind of like slowed it down a little. Yeah, I know. But otherwise, the whole show was really good. I think like it was. I thought it slowed it down for just a little bit, but then it quickly caught back up and it stuck the landing. It has probably the best ending comparing like the ending of WandaVision to this. This has the much better ending out of all the Marvel shows. So that being said, I still was putting it in D. So this tier ranking's so weird.
Y'all vote in the poll.
We'll go Amarú.
All right, I would like to say that the first half of episode 5, going back to Najma's the position, Najma's story, into Kamala traveling back in time, is the second best aspect of all of the Disney Plus shows behind He Who Remains. But Miss Marvel is the best show that Disney Plus has put out to date. This is my favorite Disney Plus show. I would say, again, I need to rewatch WandaVision to decide whether or not it's the best or not. But I probably will also end up saying it is the best Disney Plus show to date. And shit, between this and The Mandalorian is tough for me. Because it has completely different vibes and both excel at the vibe that they're doing. Iman Vellani is not acting in this. She is. Yes, it really is, because these are all amazing. Iman Vellani, I'm going to have a button here too. Iman Vellani is the Marvel nerd in real life becoming a superhero. She is one of the most charming people ever. Every single aspect, every character in this show is amazing, except for the villains. Here's the downsides. Everything about the clandestines epitomizes why this 6-episode run in the Disney Plus MCU is horrible. You talked about the whiplash you get with the clandestines. What's her name's the leader of the clandestines name? I forgot it.
Kamran's mother.
Yes, Kamran's mother.
Her name's Kamran's mother.
No, was it like Naja or something like that?
Oh yeah,
okay. I said Naja. Okay, then I was wrong about the great grandmother's name. Yeah, I forgot it. But anyway, Kamran's mother going from, oh, we're your family, to I'm gonna kill you in 2 seconds, to I left Kamran behind, to Kamran. That was the most whiplashy. Oh, it was the bad part of this amazing show. They should have kept it to damage control, and found a way to still do the partition. But yet and still. And some of the action is like, okay, not as great, but it works and it makes sense because she is learning her powers. She would not know how to fight like that. She would be all defensive. It all makes sense. And this is the show that stuck the landing at the end. You take out the clandestines. It is the most tonally consistent. It is the most episode to episode, the most consistent. Episode 1, Moon Knight had my favorite first episode, my favorite premiere episode, and then it was like this. Yeah. Miss Marvel had my favorite first episode, my favorite second episode, then dipped slightly. Then episode 5, the first half of it was amazing, and then you went back to the present time because you still had to deal with the clandestine, and then stuck the landing on 6. It is easily the best of because it's so consistent, it's so charming, it hits the coming of age vibes so well. I am so excited for the Marvels, strictly based on this show. And you said it already. It's because it worried about the story more than the superhero aspect. Kamala's family, Amir and Yusuf, are just, I want them as my family members. They are so damn hilarious. Everything about this show, almost everything about this show, I absolutely love. And at the moment where everything is, I would want to put it at a B to kind of kick WandaVision because I have it above WandaVision, but I'm going to stick where I was going to have it in the first place because I had WandaVision at C in the first place. I'm also putting Miss Marvel at a C with all that because, again, I have yet to be able to find TV shows. It has enough flaws and it's long enough. TV shows is really hard for me to kick movies. So Miss Marvel is at a C, and if I'm going to put it somewhere, I'm putting it above Shang-Chi, under Ragnarok.
Okay. Chris.
For me, again, I'll go back.
WandaVision, Loki, Miss Marvel. Those are the 3 shows right now that are all battling for that top spot. Miss Marvel could very easily end up taking that number 1 spot. I too probably need to go back and rewatch WandaVision and Loki again. But they did so much right with this show. This show has such a unique and wonderful style all on its own. And again, picking Iman Vellani pretty much out of nowhere, and she's just like an absolute fangirl of the MCU as a whole, which is exactly what Kamala Khan is such a fan of superheroes as a whole. It was just like a 1-to-1 perfect casting. She nailed the role. I agree with a lot of what Amaru said. I think this show absolutely could have used a few more episodes. What you said, it being slow in the middle with that kind of like time travel aspect, I think you save that part by giving it like one or 2 more episodes where you can actually spend that time and hang out in the past and kind of dive more into the culture and what happened. I think that actually would have done a whole lot. I think it would have helped out a whole lot by giving more time for the clandestine story. And again, yeah, it still nailed the ending with damage control stuff. I'm excited to see more from this. I think the only reason I don't have this at an S or an A tier is because of the fact that they needed another episode or 2 to really like flesh out some more of the story. There's an interview that Iman Vellani did where she was talking about, I think it was with Eric Voss over on New Rockstars, which is a fantastic interview, by the way. You guys should actually go check that out.
Just saw it today. It was great.
Such a wholesome, wonderful interview. Where she was talking about the fact that they didn't know if they were going to get a second season or if they were going to be able to do more with this show than they were expecting. So they tried to just throw as much in as possible in regards to who her character was, her origin, the cultural background, her being the first Muslim superhero, all that stuff. And so I think if they had the notion and the idea that, yes, we're going to be able to flesh out a whole second season, maybe they would have saved like the clandestine stuff for a second season and kind of just did her versus damage control. I don't know. But I think just a few more episodes would have made this like a perfect show for me. That being said, right now I'm putting it at the B tier myself. So I would probably bump down Homecoming. And the chat poll is at A tier. So we got A, B, C, and D.
So yeah, we're A, B, C, D, which means it's going between B and C.
Bump Homecoming down.
Yeah, so there's no room to go up, so everything's got to bump down, which means Far From Home's going to go to F.
I'm good with that.
Oh, that's weird.
I was okay with that.
I also have been secretly saying, but not so secretly saying, that the first Avenger needs to move. That's what I'm trying to get down to D tier for a while. So also very good with that.
That was like an evil laugh from Vernon.
Yeah, that was like the evilest of laughs. I was like,
I didn't even have to give an opinion on Miss Marvel, and I got my wish on Far From Home.
Vernon's over here like he just conquered half the world or something, and he's got aspirations for the second half. Here's a fan's view of a crazy person conquering the universe. Always be plugging. So we're putting this, what did we say? It was going between
B and C.
B and C.
Meaning, the chat did save this here because I was actually afraid that Miss Marvel was going to end up under the B tier. And I was like, no.
So, while I'm doing this, if anyone would like to start discussions on anything else that should be moved.
While we have it, the only thing that is out that I had Thor Ragnarok at B, but I actually like where we have this. I would switch out WandaVision and Miss Marvel. I'd put WandaVision down at C and Miss Marvel at B. And switch their spots. That is, I think that's the only thing I have, because everything else kind of landed where I wanted it to land. Maybe not order-wise in each tier, but I'm good with where every tier is. And if I have to put the TV shows, Miss Marvel would go to B, WandaVision would go to C.
My argument on that is I feel like WandaVision, the whole show, I think did a better job as being like a full entertaining show, while there's like a couple of the dip in the middle with Miss Marvel. The flip side to that, though, is again going back, Miss Marvel had a better ending than WandaVision. Again, going back saying that WandaVision was just a setup for the next Doctor Strange movie.
Funnily enough, take everything you said at the beginning and flip it. Miss Marvel is an entertaining show from front to back to me, where the ending of WandaVision, and even though it was great, the first episodes that went from era to era to era are like a beginning, a prelude to the actual show to me, because it's like, okay, let me see what we're actually getting. But again, I will preface that I need to go back and watch it again as a whole, kind of reminder, see this. But I had more of a entertaining time front to back with Miss Marvel than I did with
what are you doing? WandaVision. B tier, drop Homecoming.
Oh, Homecoming.
I didn't say I'm not sure about that one. I don't know about that one. That's
yeah, it goes between B and C. So
I had it bottom B, top of C. So I don't.
Yeah,
know.
it's either above Ragnarok or above Homecoming.
Where did y'all have Homecoming?
I have Homecoming at B.
I have Homecoming bottom of D tier. Miss Marvel's way above Homecoming for me.
So then Homecoming would come down.
I've got Homecoming at A.
Ooh.
That puts it at. What did you have it at, Vern?
I have it written down.
I didn't. We did not hear you, or I didn't hear you.
C.
An A, 2C, an A, 2 C's, and a D leaves it as leaves Homecoming. Oh, an A, a B. Actually, no, it's an A, a B, a C, and a D. It's dead in the middle.
So down to personal preference.
Sorry, Robert. What did you said it was an A for you?
I put Homecoming at A. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an A, B, C, D. It's dead in the middle of B and C as well.
All right.
With Miss Marvel.
So complete personal preference on that then. I enjoyed Homecoming more than Miss Marvel.
Miss Marvel being at C does not bode well for us. Put Spider-Man down at C.
I also
Spider-Man down.
I also liked Homecoming more than Miss Marvel. I will say that.
Again, keep in mind the chat just voted Miss Marvel at A. Put Spider-Man at C.
All right.
I don't agree, but it's not my channel, so it's fine.
Some people just do things for thumbs up, and that's just really sad.
I would also argue that we had technically Miss Marvel was in the S tier on our last ranking, so
yeah.
Was Homecoming on the S tier?
Homecoming never made it close to S tier, I don't think. It might have been A tier, I don't know.
I think it was like A. Was it on this one? No, Homecoming was in the previous one. Homecoming was
because it was before
B.
Before Ragnarok.
Homecoming was B.
So this makes sense.
Yeah, so it makes sense that it's still under Miss Marvel.
Now we could say or break this down. Like, does it make sense that it's under this all night? But
all right, I like the positioning of WandaVision and Miss Marvel right now. Just because, again, I thought WandaVision was much more entertaining, looking for clues and Easter eggs the whole time, not knowing what was going on.
It had more of an intrigue mystery to it.
Yeah, and I think it was more welcoming and gripping than Miss Marvel had.
So and again, before everybody blows up, this does not mean that these films are C, D, and F tier films. They're just C, D, and F tier of this set of films.
Yeah. Going through here, I would say I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of the order in the S tier, but all four of those movies I feel comfortable
seeing them in the
Yes.
S tier. Even though I would love Spider-Man No Way Home to be up there, it's one half dozen or the other when you're talking about that set of movies right there.
And I would like the first
Same
Avengers
here.
to be up there too. Yeah. Here's the thing. Like, in all honesty, regardless of where we picked, I believe almost anything in the A tier could have a very, very good discussion about being an S. So
Yeah.
I think that the fact that that's being said, that's pretty good for that A and S tier. I can see why the stuff in S is edging it out a little bit more. Almost same with B, because like we said, Miss Marvel, we had an S tier. I know when we were on the last one, I was trying to fight for WandaVision being an S tier. Guardians of the Galaxy, I think we had S tier, or I was arguing for S tier or something like that. No, where was Guardians was A. So yeah, I think we've got this pretty well fleshed out with everything else.
I think the only thing I would say is just because since it was one of the first movies up, I misgraded First Avenger very harshly based off this. I wouldn't change tier, but it'd be at the bottom of D for me, which is not like a huge move, but it'd be at the bottom of D. If I would have like actually planned out beforehand instead of just going, I would have had it at a D instead of a B when I voted.
What are you doing, Chris? All right. So you want to put First Avenger even lower?
Just the bottom, still D tier, but bottom of D tier.
Anybody else want to weigh in on that?
I'm gonna need you to untag me in this video.
I'm also very good with keeping it where it is as well. But
First Avenger was
Yeah.
bottom of C tier for me. So top of D tier is like the one step away from it.
that's
I
fine.
mean, I like it
I'm
better
good
than
with
I do
that.
Loki.
I also
I'm-
still have
I'm good with
Shang-Chi in the B tier, but
Yeah.
I'm good with that. I'm good with it then. Just wanted to bring that up.
I would almost still put Shang-Chi above Homecoming and Ragnarok, but I can see if that's not going to happen.
No. I think I'm pretty good. I don't think there's really anything on here I'd want to really fight for in one way or
No,
another.
I think this is kind of the ranking. Maybe one or two things, but this looks top, best of the best of Marvel, of MCU so far. This is kind of where everything lands.
It's good all the way around because you got some good early stuff on here. You got good later stuff on here. You got enough TV shows on here. I mean, this is a good, well-rounded list.
I would almost argue that Black Panther needs to be higher than Captain America up there, but that's just me.
Anyone else feel the same?
No.
I think we're pretty. I think we can solidify that S tier pretty easily. I mean, I would still move Endgame at the top, but I think at this point we all have like different ones that we would probably put at the top of the list. Given that fact, I think just having all four of those there is fine enough.
I kind of like the position of them. I do like the Winter Soldier maybe just a hair more than Black Panther. But I do like that Black Panther is up in the S tier now.
I mean, I would still argue No Way Home should be the top of A tier, but that's just me.
Yeah, no. Anyways,
I'm with you, but hey, that's what happens when we have two S's and two C's, so it works.
I always have like one person who's with me on No Way Home, and for some reason, I still never get my way.
anyway, so that looks like that is going to be the ranking. So, like I said,
Solid.
This is going to be a living ranking. This will show up again. I say that not knowing how Twitter's going to react to this tomorrow, but we'll see. This will be the ranking that we continue to come back to the next time we rank some MCU movies after like some more movies come out after Black Panther Wakanda Forever, Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, other TV shows, She-Hulk is coming out. So after those all come out, we will come back and revisit this probably in about a year or so. Depending on, we might try to make it around another MCU movie coming out like next summer or something. So we'll see. Depends on how much is coming out and if it makes sense to do a new ranking with that. This is like the most emotional I think I've ever seen Rachel do something like on the chat.
It's the harshest she's ever been.
I know.
As a critic
She
of
is
us.
very upset. She's been pretty on it for the last.
It's
30 minutes.
funny because me and Rachel are usually like this. Usually, really eye to eye on a lot of things.
So, anyways, thanks for being here, Rachel. Though I like your opinion no matter what it is. So, I should be a politician. I like your opinion no matter what it is.
No.
Anyways, so that's going to be our ranking for this. Good job, everybody. Let's go ahead and have Carl take it down. Take it down, Carl. Man, you got to move fast with Carl when he's like ready to go home.
Yeah, he's tired. He's ready to hit the.
He's like, screw this. Guys, 3 hours, right at the 3 hour mark. Good job, everyone. Great game all around. We did it. So as we close this up, let's go around, starting with Amarú. Plug yourself.
You can find me Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I do look like I have a bot for a name, but this is my AOL AIM from forever ago. So I've kept it because I'm a huge Nick fan, and that's my birthday backwards. But other than that, also bite-sized breakdown on everything. I'm a part of a writing crew, which also includes Page for Betty. We do reviews on movies and television shows in 100 words or less. Bitesizebreakdown.com. It's spelled how it sounds. If you type in Bite Size Breakdown on IG, on Facebook, on Twitter, you will find us. In addition to Bite Size Polls, which segues me into my YouTube show that used to be on my channel, but is now on the Bite Size Breakdown YouTube channel. Please go subscribe. Called One Gotta Stay, where I present you with impossible options, somewhere between 4 to 6 options. And of those options, you only get to save one. And we are in the middle of what we call the One Geek Character Tournament, trying to find the best geek character of them all. And the next episode is the Marvel versus DC episode. It's our round 2. Our winners of the Marvel bracket were one Spider-Man and Wolverine going up against the DC Batman and Superman. Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, Wolverine. You only get to keep one. The rest of them are gone forever. It will be an open invite, so if anybody is interested, I will be putting a video out soon. Or you can just DM me now anyway, or you gentlemen can talk to me after the show. If you want to be on and yell at each other some more about some things, it's a fun time. One Gotta Stay, Bite Size Breaks Down channel on YouTube, and Bite Size Breakdown on everywhere where you see my pretty face.
Vernon, if you would like to plug yourself, sir.
Hey, so very busy week over on A Fans View YouTube channel. You can find me at _fansview on Twitter and A Fans View on YouTube. So basically, let's break this down. Sunday, tomorrow, we have our debut of our show, A Fans View of Letterboxing. That's going to incorporate Commentating Nerd, who is launching a show on our channel. It is some good stuff. I really enjoyed editing that video for him. So that is going to be coming out tomorrow night. Tuesday, we, of course, have a Fans View of Dungeons and Dragons, where we are, I believe, 18 sessions into a great campaign. So a lot of fun there. And Wednesday night, we start our journey into Hogwarts. We are starting with Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone as we are getting ready for Hogwarts first day of school in September. So we're going to work our way up to it. And then we, of course, have Thursday, another big debut on the channel, a Fans View of Movie Trivia, where we are going to be doing one-on-one trivia matches with our very first 2 competitors. It is going to be Maxwell versus Brennan Marr. You know those 2 from the FCL. You love them. They are going to be fighting it out in a movie trivia format of our show, and the winner will take home $50. So that's one thing that we're introducing onto the channel. So make sure you stop by and support them. It's not going to be live, but they would love to see your comments and your likes in the chat. So that is it for me.
All right, Chris. Well, plug your
Yes.
stuff.
Yeah, you can find me at Chris Adams MLP on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd, as well as over at twitch.tv/Chris Adams MLP. Taking a break this week, so we won't be streaming this week on the Twitch, but we will be back August 7th. That is my birthday week, so you're going to want to come back for that. That's Sunday, August 7th. We're going to be having a lot of fun over on Twitch. I think we're starting off with a family game night, so if you guys have never come played Jackbox games with us, it's going to be a lot of fun, so come hang out then.
Yeah, and then, of course, me, you can follow at Robert Adams MLP, Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. As far as us, the Cinefanatics, you can follow us at Cinefanatics MLP, Twitter, and Instagram. And here on this YouTube channel, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all the YouTube stuff. We are taking a break on Cinefanatics as well, so we will be back. Let me see, no tagline this Wednesday or the Wednesday after, so we will probably be back for a tagline on Wednesday, the 17th of August. I don't know if we're gonna have like anything else pop up. Maybe like we might still do trailer reactions in the meantime, because those are kind of pivotal. But yeah, otherwise we are also taking a break. So make sure you follow us on the Twitters and Instagrams. Find out what else we're doing, where else we're going to be. We might be jumping on to other people's shows over the course of this break. So yeah, that's where we're doing. Anyways, thank y'all for watching. Thank y'all for being here tonight. Everyone in the chat, thank you for yelling your heads off at us and telling us how right or wrong we were. That's what makes this show great. I appreciate your support.
What a month of the Marquee.
Yeah, and if you're watching this on a replay, thank you for watching the whole 3-hour-long thing. That's just fantastic. Good on you. Otherwise, yeah, as for my brother, myself, Vernon, and Amarú, thank y'all for being here. We will see y'all later. Good night.
See ya.
Bam, 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 bam.